Chapter 2347. At this moment, countless demons in the newly born burning hell were mutating. Suddenly, the feathers on the back of a flying demon beast ignited and quickly turned into flaming feathers containing the formidable power of fire. At this moment, it seemed to have transformed into a ferocious flaming bird that possessed terrifying lethality. A shark demon was swimming in the boundless ocean. Its entire body swelled up, at least several times larger than before. It was like a mountain turning into a colossus. The scales on its body shone with a cold black light, as if they had turned into indestructible black metal. They shone with a bright light and were streamlined. There were even numerous hellish runes on them. It seemed to have a trace of the legendary Kuin Pong. A tiger demon, standing on a tall mountain, roared at the sky. A pair of black flaming wings appeared on its back. With a casual flap, it set off a violent storm that destroyed many small mountains. Its entire body even emitted black flames. The soil around its feet was burned by the flames and turned into magma. It seemed like the entire mountain was melting. The mutations of these demons could be seen everywhere in the burning hell. Each demon's transformation varied greatly. The closer a demon was to Xia Ping, the higher their bloodline, the more changes they would undergo, and the more benefits they would obtain. As demons in the burning hell, they had already experienced these things. They were all extremely excited. Great! It's the Lord's demon god bloodline. Our bodies are transforming into demon gods. Heavens, I was originally just a low-ranked demon, but I obtained a trace of the demon god bloodline. Even ordinary high-ranked demons might not be able to compare to me. Hurry! Hurry up and get closer to the Lord. The closer we can get to the Lord, the more benefits we will obtain. If our entire bodies can be corroded into the demon god bloodline, then we might become descendants of the demon god. At the very least, we can become dependents. Many demons in the burning hell shouted excitedly. They seemed to be on a pilgrimage, crazily surging in Xia Ping's direction without any regard for their own safety. Although the demons in the scorched hell had never experienced something like this before, they instinctively moved closer to Xia Ping. They instinctively sensed that if they could get close to this mysterious and powerful Lord, it would bring them endless benefits. For a time, all the demons, no matter where they were in the burning hell, frantically approached Necropolis. They didn't care about killing each other. They just hurried on, hurried on, hurried on. Xia Ping, on the other hand, was still immersed in his cultivation, ignoring the frenzied demons. The tremendous power of the golden crow of hell's bloodline unconsciously spread out, naturally enveloping the entire burning hell. Currently, a crimson ship was flying through the infernal hell. This ship was called the Crimson Devil, and it was a famous adventurer ship that specialized in exploring new planes of hell. Such a profession was the dream of countless demons in the infernal plane. If any demon discovered a new infernal plane, even if they didn't conquer it, just selling information about it would bring them endless benefits. If he could occupy an unknown infernal plane and become its ruler, he would obtain even more benefits. That was equivalent to becoming a lord of hell, instantly entering the ranks of demon nobles. After all, most of the resources in high-level infernal plane worlds were occupied by high-level demons. How could the low-level demons have a chance to obtain any benefits? Therefore, countless demons were looking for new infernal plane worlds, and it became one of the most popular professions in hell. It was also a great opportunity for low-level demons to reach the sky in a single step. The Crimson Devil was also a famous demonic ship that had discovered many new infernal plane worlds. The captain of this ship was the Crimson Devil Elder Weiss, a powerful demon in the early Middle Ancient realm who had already mastered the law of time. He had more than 20 ancient demons and more than 300 immortal demons. This kind of strength could be considered as an elite adventure team, which could easily suppress low-level infernal plane worlds and plunder countless resources. In fact, they had already conquered 7 or 8 low-level infernal planes with such strength and naturally obtained countless benefits and large amounts of resources. Look, Captain Lord Elder Weiss. At this moment, A demon in charge of observing shouted excitedly, "I discovered a new infernal plane world. Everyone, pay attention. I discovered a new low-level infernal plane world." What? We actually discovered a new low-level infernal plane world? Really? Did we see wrongly? There's also a guy who said he discovered a low-level infernal plane world before, but I didn't expect it to be a nest of void monsters. We almost died because of it. It's true. There's no mistake about it. This is really great. We've been sailing in the void of hell for dozens of years, and we haven't seen anything, but we've seen void monsters many times. I didn't expect our luck to take a turn for the better today. Many demons were extremely excited, and they kept howling, as if they couldn't express their excitement if they didn't do this. This was because a new low-level infernal plane world represented boundless wealth. Even if they couldn't get the biggest share, just a little bit was enough to make them overflowing with wealth. Indeed, ahead is a low-level infernal plane world, and it's a plane that has just been promoted. It seems like this country bumpkin hell overlord is quite lucky to have fused with the origin of a few low-level infernal planes. Captain Elder Weiss walked over. He revealed a satisfied smile, and a formless domain power enveloped the surrounding void. It was as if time had stopped within the range of the domain. The origin of this infernal plane is too dense. It must be a low-level infernal plane with extremely rich resources. Such a low-level infernal plane world is simply the best prey for us. Let's not talk about the resources of this infernal plane world. Even the countless demons born in this infernal plane world can be captured and sold as slaves for a huge sum of money. Kill. Immediately kill the lord of this infernal plane world and snatch the origin of this infernal plane world. But it's better for us to be careful. We still don't know how strong the demons of this infernal plane world are. Kiki, no matter how strong the demons of this low-level infernal plane world are, there's still a limit. At most, they're at the near ancient demon level. Our captain is a middle ancient demon. He can crush it with a single finger. That's right. We have our captain. With our captain, these country bumpkin demons will all die. Many demons howled excitedly. Their eyes were burning with excitement and fanaticism. Chapter 2348. Fly the spaceship over. At this moment, the ancient demon Elder Weiss had a sinister look on his face. Let those demons from the low-level hell planes witness the terror of us high-level demons. Such a hell plane isn't something those bumpkin demons can touch. If anyone dares to resist, kill them immediately. Leave no one alive. A terrifying, murderous aura emanated from his body. He was extremely confident. This was because he was an ancient demon, a terrifying existence that had comprehended the laws of time. Such a demon couldn't be born from a low-level hell plane. Therefore, with his strength, he had an absolute advantage in such a low-level hell plane. No demon would dare to say that he was invincible. Yes, Captain. All the demons roared excitedly. They had done similar things 7 or 8 times. With the power of Captain Elder Weiss, they were invincible in the low-level hell plane. Of course, for the middle-level hell plane, Elder Weiss wasn't much. He was only a relatively powerful demon. However, they wouldn't provoke the demons from the middle-level hell plane. They would always look for the weaker ones to pinch. Clearly, this low-level hell plane was a pushover. Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the spaceship flew toward the burning hell and rapidly approached. At this moment, Xiaoping was in Fengdu City in the burning hell. He had finally finished devouring all the hell's origin energy and completely converted it into his own power. In particular, he had awakened a total of 36 billion hell golden crow cells, which raised his power to a terrifying level. Every move he made contained the might of a demon god. It was as if every drop of blood in his body contained a dark golden talisman. Countless drops of blood gathered together like a supreme scripture about the hell golden crow. The hell golden crow flames burned in his body, releasing endless light that enveloped the entire burning hell. Every demon could bathe in the light of the sun, as if they were bestowed with infinite vitality. The entire burning hell was filled with vitality, as if many hellish plants were slowly being born. At this moment, Xia Ping suddenly opened his eyes. His divine sense covered a radius of 400 light-years, fusing into every part of the void as if they were one. That was why he immediately sensed a crimson ship flying toward the infernal hell. The demons on the ship were extremely powerful, more powerful than all the demons in the infernal hell combined. This was because the captain of this spaceship had reached the early ancient middle realm and had completely comprehended the time law. Just this medieval demon alone was invincible, and not many demons could contend against it. It could be said that no matter how many near-ancient demons there were, they would not be a match for a middle-ancient demon that had comprehended the law of time. That was because the primeval fiends, who had comprehended the time laws, could create a time domain that could freeze all primeval fiends, rendering them incapable of moving. It was easy to imagine that when these ancient demons faced the ancient demons, it was like a little white rabbit facing a lion. The difference was too great, and it could not be calculated with numbers. In addition to the ancient fiend devils, there were also more than 20 near primeval fiend devils and more than 300 undying fiend devils. This was a force strong enough to sweep through any low-level hellish plane. To think that they want to invade the infernal hell. They got some guts, but it's just as well. I can use this middle ancient demon to test my strength. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly. If he had not broken through, he would have had to retreat if he encountered the middle ancient demon. But after becoming a near ancient demon and comprehending the space law, he was many times stronger than before. He could not even be mentioned in the same breath as before. Even if the middle ancient demon was extremely strong and had comprehended the time law, it was not impossible for him to fight it with his current strength. At the thought of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He sat in Necropolis and made his move immediately. The battlefield could not be in the infernal hell. Otherwise, the middle ancient demon's strength would be enough to destroy the entire plane. Therefore, he had to open up the battlefield in the infernal hell. Boom! In an instant, Xiaoping slammed his palm towards the crimson spaceship. Bloodline mystic art, infernal golden crow claw. Suddenly, a dark golden claw appeared out of thin air. This dark golden claw was even larger than the sun, blotting out the sun. It was completely condensed from dark golden flames and filled with densely packed golden crow runes. It exuded an aura of eternity, destruction, chaos, and so on. This claw was like an infernal golden crow appearing out of thin air. It was like a supreme fiend god had descended, wanting to crush the sun, destroy countless stars, and tear space apart. Damn it, which fellow dares to attack my crimson devil? You're courting death, courting death. Elder Weiss's expression changed drastically. He could clearly feel a gigantic claw coming from the depths of this low-level hellish plane. The power of this attack was extremely terrifying. It could tear apart space, tear apart heaven and earth, and suppress the universe. If the Crimson Devil was hit by this claw, it would definitely be torn apart. At that time, who knew how many fiend devils in the spaceship would be crushed to death and burned to ashes? Most importantly, this spaceship could be said to be priceless, as countless secret treasures had been added to it. This was also the reason why they could run amok in the infernal hell. If it was destroyed now, they might not even be able to return home. They could only drift in the infernal hell forever. Time stopped. Elder Weiss roared. With his body as the center, a huge time realm surged out, covering a radius of 10 light years. In an instant, under the cover of this realm, all the fiend devil's movements came to a halt. Even the flow of time seemed to have been reduced to its weakest state. The dark golden claw also stopped in the void, as if it had fallen into a swamp. No matter how much strength it expended, it could not move a meter forward. Obliterate! Elder Weiss immediately flew out of the spaceship and smashed his fist through the void. It shook time and space, twisting the universe. It was as if thousands of volcanoes had exploded at the same time. With a boom, the dark golden claw was immediately shattered and turned into nothingness. This is the time realm? As expected of a medieval demon. He's so much stronger than a modern demon. Xiaoping exclaimed. This was the first time he had seen a medieval demon in action. The ability to stop time was really unfathomable. Once one was controlled by the time realm, no matter how strong one was, one would only be a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Only time could fight against time. Chapter 2349. Looks like I can't fight these demons in the burning hell. Otherwise, the entire burning hell will be destroyed. Thinking of this, Xiaoping's figure flashed and instantly left Fengdu's city, arriving outside the burning hell. This speed was similar to teleportation. It completely ignored space and easily shuttled through the layers of space. This speed was much faster than before. If his previous speed was that of a bicycle, then his current speed was that of an airplane. There was no comparison at all. If this speed happened in a battle, he could end the battle in 1 second. The difference between those who had comprehended the law of space and those who hadn't was too great. Whoosh! In the next second, Xiaoping's figure appeared in front of the Crimson Devil, facing the group of uninvited guests from afar. Their auras collided, creating a terrifying pressure. You're the overlord of this low-level plane of hell. The ancient demon Elderweiss narrowed its eyes and stared at Xiaoping. It felt unbelievable because it could sense that the kid in front of it had just ascended to the near-ancient saint realm, a rookie who had just comprehended the law of space. But that claw just now forced it to block it personally, or else the Crimson Devil would definitely be destroyed. A small ancient demon, one that had just entered the ancient era, was able to force a medieval demon into such a sorry state. It was unbelievable. Although it looked down on low-level demons, it wasn't the reckless kind. To be able to survive in the void for so long, it relied on caution. Before understanding this strange demon's background, it felt that it was better not to act rashly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, all the demons on the Crimson Devil ship flew out. They were also afraid that a battle would cause the ship to be destroyed. If that happened, they might not be able to travel again, and repairing it would be troublesome. That's right. I'm the overlord of the burning hell, Fengdu. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the group of uninvited guests indifferently. You came so aggressively, with killing intent and malice. What are you trying to do in my territory? Idiot! A near-ancient demon looked at Xiaoping with disdain. Don't you know what we're trying to do? We're robbing you. We're eyeing your territory. Get out of here immediately. It was full of killing intent and didn't hold back at all. You're right. Don't think that we're robbers, but our fees are reasonable. If you can pay enough compensation, I can let you continue to be the lord of this inferior plane of hell. Another ancient demon shouted. There was a cunning look in its eyes. It seemed like it wanted to extort a sum of money from the demon Lord Fengdu before it seized this plane of hell. Maybe it could extort some precious treasures. Of course, even if this guy really paid all the compensation, they wouldn't let this Fengdu off. Robbery? Xiaoping clasped his hands behind his back and said, You want to rob others with your mediocre skills? You must be joking. I advise you not to go astray. If you stop now, I can let you go. Otherwise, all of you will die. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Let me go. A puny ancient demon dares to talk big? Any ancient demon beside me can paralyze half of your body, and you dare to be so arrogant in front of me, Elder Weiss. Hearing this, ancient demon Elder Weiss laughed loudly. Looks like you've been in the countryside for too long. You don't know what a truly powerful demon is like. I, Elder Weiss, am a middle ancient demon, a supreme demon who has comprehended the law of time. A bumpkin like you can't compare to me. How dare you threaten me? I'll kill you right now. A powerful aura gushed out, practically capable of destroying the heavens and earth, shaking the void. Lord Elderweiss, you don't have to do anything. That's right. Our subordinates can take care of this bumpkin demon. Fighting with trash like this is a complete disgrace to your status, Lord Elderweiss. Attack. Slaughter this foolish fiend. Show with the terror of a fiend from a higher plane of hell. In an instant, more than 20 ancient demons roared and attacked at the same time, using their spatial domains. Rumble one after another, the spatial domains came down, stacking on top of each other. It was as if countless layers of space had been stacked on top of each other, as if countless spatial seals had been applied. Ordinary demons would immediately be suppressed and unable to move. At this moment, the void around them was distorted, and layers of spatial barriers appeared everywhere. It was as if a spatial maze had been formed. If ordinary demons were trapped inside, they would never be able to leave. Kill! Xiaoping's eyes flashed with a cold light. He did not move at all. His own spatial domain shot out, instantly covering the void within a radius of 400 light-years. Moreover, the power of the spatial domain fiercely crashed into the enemy, like a comet crashing into the earth. Bang, bang, bang! Instantly, the spatial domains formed by more than 20 ancient demons shattered like eggs. Facing Xiaoping's almost solidified spatial domain, these ordinary ancient demons simply could not compare. The collision between the two was like an egg smashing into a rock. Not to mention 20 eggs, even 100 or 1,000 eggs would not be able to smash the rock. This was not a problem of quantity, but purely a problem of quality. There was simply no comparison. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 ancient demons let out pitiful screams. This was because the spatial domain they created was crushed like glass by Xiaoping, completely torn apart. It should be known that the so-called spatial domain was a special power formed by the fusion of the soul, magical power, spatial laws, and various other powers. It was equivalent to the manifestation of the soul's essence. If the spatial domain was torn apart on the spot, it would be transmitted to the souls of the ancient demons, which was equivalent to tearing apart their souls. One could imagine how much pain these ancient demons felt. It was as if they had been subjected to 10 great tortures. Their souls felt like they were being bitten by millions of ants, and they were suffering a crazy backlash. One after another, the ancient demons could not bear it. They spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and their bodies were sent flying. It was as if their internal organs had been severely injured. In just one collision, these ancient demons were completely defeated. They could not fight back at all. The spatial domain that Xiaoping had displayed was simply terrifying. It was enough to completely crush these ancient demons, and they did not even have the courage to resist. Third Sect Master, Chapter 2350. Impossible. How could a country bumpkin be so strong? Just one clash of domains, and we were all heavily injured. What kind of joke is this? One of the demons couldn't accept such a ridiculous thing. After all, they were demons from the higher planes of hell. They were born with powerful bloodlines and powerful combat abilities. They had obtained countless inheritances from hell and had a deep foundation. For a long time, they had been able to sweep through all of the low-level hell planes devils, and had always been successful in every endeavor. But now, more than 20 ancient fiends had joined forces, yet they were instantly defeated by a country bumpkin who had just entered the ancient era and comprehended the law of space not too long ago. This made them doubt their lives. Damn it, what kind of spatial domain is this? How wide is it? Why can't I sense the border? Some of the demons were dumbfounded. Their spatial domains could only cover a few light years at most. They couldn't imagine a spatial domain with a diameter of 400 light years. This wasn't a difference of a few meters or a few hundred meters. The unit of measurement was light years. The demons were like fish in the ocean. They didn't know how big the ocean was, and they didn't know where the end of it was. It's one thing for it to have a large range, but it's also very sturdy. Compared to it, our space domain is like glass, shattering upon contact. Just how did it condense? It's like the embryonic form of a world. Some of the demons were in despair. What kind of monster had they encountered? How could a demon who had just entered the ancient era be so terrifying? He was unreasonable and didn't have any common sense. They could feel his overwhelming power. Even though they were demons of the same level, they couldn't compare. It was like comparing an elephant to an ant. A bunch of trash. You can't even deal with a country bumpkin. Get out of my way. I can kill ants like you with a wave of my hand. Elder Weiss shouted. He was really angry. The 20 or so demons had been defeated by a little country bumpkin. They were so scared that they vomited blood. This was a disgrace to Elder Weiss. If he didn't get back at them, he wouldn't have any face left. Countless high-level demons would laugh at him and say that his subordinates were all trash. Boom! In an instant, Elder Weiss did not waste any time. His time domain immediately enveloped the area, covering a radius of tens of light years. Time stood still. Immediately, the flow of time within a radius of several dozen light years immediately came to a standstill. It was as if everything in the world had stopped flowing at this moment, unable to move at all. Even these demons were suppressed by the power of the law of time. The mana in their bodies couldn't flow, and only their consciousness could operate. Too strong. Although this was not the first time these demons had seen their captain, Elvis, use the realm of time, they were shocked every time they saw it. This was the great power of the gods. When facing this time domain, they were simply like chickens that didn't have the slightest ability to fight back, and they could only be suppressed to death. Perhaps they would be instantly annihilated and transformed into ash. Xiaoping's heart moved. When this terrifying time domain invaded him, he immediately felt a fatal killing intent. If his body was stopped, then he could only stretch out his neck and kill. He circulated his space domain with all his might, and the world tree trembled slightly. Countless roots extended to every corner of the space barrier, constantly strengthening every space. A huge amount of dimensional energy leaked from these roots, filling every place, causing the entire space domain to be as firm as a rock. Boom! When the time domain bombarded over, it instantly covered Xiaoping's space domain. This corrosive power of time was extremely invasive, trying to completely distort the law of Xiaoping's space domain or even imprison it. Impossible! But in the next second, Elvis's eyes widened in disbelief, because he suddenly found that when his time domain tried to erode Xiaoping's space domain, it was very difficult to do so. It was as if he wanted to stop a lesser kiliacosm. Although ordinary medieval demons could stop objects in an area by operating the time domain, to stop the flow of time of everything in a lesser kiliacosm, the energy and the power of the law of time needed was simply astronomical. In an instant, it was enough to exhaust the magic power of a medieval demon. Even a medieval demon who had reached the peak of the Middle Ages couldn't completely stop the time of a lesser kiliacosm for a few seconds. This was because the range was simply too large. Every time it expanded a certain distance, it required an astronomical amount of magic power. And Xiaoping's space domain was a full 400 light-years, comparable to a lesser kiliacosm. Therefore, it was impossible for the medieval demon Elvis to completely imprison Xiaoping's space domain. At the same time, the space domain on his body was also extremely powerful. With the help of the Tree of World, the laws of the space domain were extremely perfect. If the medieval demon wanted to imprison it, it would need to consume even more energy. One could imagine that when the medieval demon Elvis's time domain enveloped him, he was shocked to find that his magic power was being consumed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even his vitality was being rapidly consumed. He felt like a child trying to carry a rock that weighed several tons. It was like an ant trying to shake a tree. He was overestimating himself. Of course, for a medieval demon, it was very easy to stop the flow of time for thousands of kilometers. It didn't need to be too long either. 1 second was enough for him to kill all his enemies. But to stop the time of a lesser kiliacosm with a diameter of 400 light-years was a fool's dream. Damn it! How can a little ancient demon from the countryside have such a powerful space domain? It can't even shake the time domain of the ancient demon. With a whooshing sound, the medieval demon Elvis felt his vitality being rapidly consumed. He was scared half to death and immediately did not dare to use the supreme magical power of time stop. He immediately stopped and looked at Xiaoping with extreme vigilance. He was bewildered and seemed to be wondering what kind of demon this was and why he was so powerful. Indeed, he can contend against the medieval demon's time domain. Seeing the situation, Xiaoping immediately smiled. Previously, he was still feeling uneasy thinking that he did not have the means to contend against the medieval demon. But now he was immediately relieved. The space domain on his body was too powerful and had an extremely wide range. It was not something that an ordinary medieval demon's time domain could shake. Try to control him in an instant? Dream on. Chapter 2351. I'll ask you again. What kind of demon are you? Where did you come from? The medieval demon Elder Weiss narrowed his eyes and stared at Xiaoping. He was beginning to feel that this demon was very mysterious. Although he came from a rural plane of hell, his power was unusual. Perhaps he had some special relationship with an ancient almighty from a high-level plane of hell. Otherwise, how could a small ancient demon resist a medieval demon like him? This was simply unimaginable. He could not help but suspect the demon's identity. I'm Fengdu, the Lord of the Burning Hell. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. But are you really a medieval demon who understood the law of time? Why are you so weak that you can't even shake my space domain? Don't tell me you're a fake, someone who broke through purely by luck? He looked at Elder Weiss suspiciously. Bullsh *T. Seeing Xiaoping's suspicious and disdainful look, Elder Weiss could not take it anymore. He scolded, "You're the fake. Your whole family is fake. Who are you talking about? Don't think that you can be arrogant just because your space domain is a little bigger. The power of a medieval demon is not something a rural demon like you can imagine. Even if I can't control you with time stop, as a medieval demon, do you think that's all I have? Killing you will only take a little more effort. Die." He flew into a rage out of humiliation and immediately charged at Xiaoping. Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the medieval demon Elder Weiss figure flashed and instantly disappeared. Time acceleration. This was the time domain ability unique to medieval demons. Not only could they temporarily stop time, but they could also speed up the flow of time around them. If they could shorten the time around them from 10 seconds to 1 second, even if their original speed did not change, it would be equivalent to 10 times faster than before. After reaching the level of a medieval demon, their speed was unbelievably fast, and they could easily cross countless dimensions. But now, they could speed up the flow of time. This speed was not something ancient demons could compare with. Indeed, with the strength of the medieval demon Elder Weiss, he could not speed up the flow of time by 10 times, but he could speed it up to 3 times, reducing 3 seconds to 1 second, and increase his own speed by 3 times. Furthermore, it was not an increase from 1 meter per second to 3 meters per second. Instead, it was an increase from the speed of light to 3 times the speed of light. The difference was huge. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the ancient demon Elder Weiss charged at Xiaoping. Dense shadows appeared in a radius of dozens of light years. These were the afterimages left behind by its extreme speed. Ordinary demons would not be able to tell which of these afterimages was its true body. Xiaoping activated the infernal golden crow's eyes. These 2 pairs of eyes were like satellites, displaying a 3D image. They were able to see everything within a radius of 400 light years, including all directions. Although the speed of the ancient demon Elder Weiss was indeed fast, it still managed to fool his eyes. Xiao! In the next second, Xiaoping teleported hundreds of light years away with a thought. This was the great advantage of the space domain. Ordinary near-ancient sages could only teleport a few light years away, but Middle Ancient sages could travel dozens of light years in a flash. How could near-ancient sages compare? Boom! Just as Xiaoping's figure was about to leave, the ancient demon Elder Weiss blasted a punch towards him. An evil and terrifying fist force instantly exploded, shattering the void and producing an unparalleled destructive power. Even if it was an ancient demon, its body would be torn apart and severely injured on the spot. Damn it, he dodged it! The pupils of the ancient demon Elder Weiss constricted. He could not believe his eyes. With a supreme divine ability, like time acceleration, he could instantly kill ordinary near-ancient demons. There was no way he could fight against him. However, this demon Fengdu was so terrifying that he could see through his attack. Furthermore, he was faster than him and dodged his punch in advance. My God! Is there any justice in this world? When did the near ancient demons become so abnormal? He immediately felt envy and jealousy. He wanted to capture this demon Fengdu alive, dig out all the secrets on him, and take them for himself. Boom! At this moment, Xiaoping also made his move. Youthful, the Arch Longevity Art. He activated the supreme, youthful, the Arch Longevity Art. A huge amount of wood elemental Yuan Qi was infused into his space domain and into the world tree that covered every corner of the space domain. Whoosh! Suddenly, a huge, majestic shadow of the world tree appeared in the void, spanning 400 light years. It emitted the aura of chaos, nothingness, myth, eternity, unshakable, and so on. Its branches were indomitable and extended to every dimensional space. Its roots pierced into the void, as if it had complete control over the void and formed an absolute spatial barrier. Countless leaves on the branches swayed, and a huge and dense spatial aura filled the air. It was as if countless talismans of the world had gathered together to form a supreme scripture. All the demons could feel the greatness of this tree. It was as if they had encountered the shadow of a demon god. They wanted to crawl down and worship it like a totem. Damn it, what is this thing? In an instant, the ancient demon Elderwise hair stood on end. He felt a huge threat from the sudden appearance of this tree. Every cell in his body was alerted. In front of this huge tree, he was like an ant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Before he could think of anything, the world tree trembled slightly. Hundreds of millions of roots blasted toward the ancient demon Elderwise, tearing the void and covering the sky. Each root contained the power of the law of chaos. It was indestructible. It was like a god-slaying spear, and the surrounding void energy was completely repelled. If hit, Elderwise's body would be turned into a beehive, and he would die without a whole corpse. Time deceleration. At this extremely dangerous moment, the ancient demon Elderwise let out a furious roar and unleashed his time domain. The area within a radius of 10 light years was covered by his time domain. Suddenly, all the roots of the world tree entered the range of the time domain. They immediately slowed down and moved as slow as a snail. No one knew how long it would take for them to reach the ancient demon Elderwise. This was the third use of the time domain, time deceleration. After advancing to the Middle Ancient Realm and comprehending the law of time, apart from stopping time and accelerating time, he could also slow time down. Chapter 2352. To put it simply, the so-called time deceleration could slow down time from 1 second to 10 seconds, and then expand to 100 meters in 10 seconds. This was time deceleration. Any enemy that entered the time domain would be affected by the time deceleration. Although there was no change in their attack speed, because 1 second became 10 seconds, their attack speed would be reduced by 10 times. Of course, the medieval demon Elvis was not that powerful, but he could also slow down time from 1 second to 3 seconds. The use of these two laws of time could even be superimposed to slow down the enemy and speed up himself. This reduction and increase would maximize the medieval demon's advantage. This would also give the medieval demon an advantage, and it was not something that the ancient demon could contend with. Oh no, the consumption is too high. However, the medieval demon Elvis's expression changed drastically, and he was horrified. Don't look down on the fact that the time domain's time deceleration was very useful. It could be said to be a divine skill. However, the amount of magic power it consumed was just too great. It would be fine if it was binding an ordinary creature, as the consumption might not be too high. But now, Elvis was restraining the world tree. Even though it was still in its infancy and not at its peak, it was not something that could be restrained easily. When Elvis's time domain covered the billions of roots of the Tree of World, it was equivalent to using the time domain to slow down time in countless worlds. Just making a small world slow down time would consume a terrifying amount of magic power. If hundreds of millions of small worlds were to slow down time at the same time, the consumption would be enough to exhaust an invincible realm demon to death. Therefore, The medieval demon immediately felt that its magic power was decreasing at a geometrical rate, and even the power of hell in the depths of its body was being consumed rapidly. It felt that if its time deceleration power lasted for another 3 seconds, it might not even need Fiend to do anything. Just maintaining the power of the time domain would be enough to exhaust it to death. At this moment, it immediately knew that it had kicked an unshakable iron plate. This Fiend was simply an unshakable tortoise shell. If it could not kill its opponent, it would harm itself instead. Retreat, retreat immediately. This cannot continue. In an instant, the pale-faced ancient demon Elderweiss immediately withdrew his time domain. Otherwise, he would be completely finished before Fiend could even make a move. But with this retreat, the world tree's billions of roots attacked at the same time, covering the sky and covering the earth. There was almost no blind spot, and they covered every corner. Moreover, there were no obstacles. The roots of the world tree were extremely fast and fierce. Immediately, the ancient demon Elderweiss let out a shrill scream. His huge body was immediately pierced by the roots of the world tree. Thousands of bloody holes appeared on his body, as if a beehive had appeared on his body. The roots of the world tree contained boundless chaotic power of laws, which could easily tear through the void and cause irreparable damage to the world tree. With just one strike, it was heavily injured by Xiaoping and coughed up blood nonstop. It felt an unprecedented pain, as if it was being bitten by countless ants, as if its soul was being torn apart. Impossible, the captain actually lost to a demon who just entered the ancient era. In the distance, many demons saw this scene and were stunned. They didn't dare to believe their eyes. According to their thinking, as long as Captain Elderweiss could personally take action, any rural demons would be dead and would all be reduced to ashes. What a joke. Captain is an ancient demon who comprehended the law of time. His strength is far beyond that of a modern demon. What happened? Did the captain go easy on him? Some of the ancient demons were stunned, not daring to accept this reality. Go easy, my ass. Didn't you see the captain vomiting blood? That's right. According to the captain's personality, if he really could beat it, he wouldn't have waited until now. And the captain's acting skills aren't that good. That expression of pain and malevolence is not something he can perform. This devil Fiend is actually this terrifying? Can it even defeat a medieval devil? Damn it, I've never heard of something like this before. Many of the demons found this unbelievable. Even though they were born in a high-level hell plane, they had lived for countless years and seen countless hell planes. However, they had never seen a modern demon beat an ancient demon to the point of vomiting blood, heavily injuring it on the spot, or even leaving it unscathed. This was simply a fantasy. At this moment, Xiaoping was overjoyed and filled with confidence. As expected, although the ancient saints who comprehended the law of time are powerful and can be said to be invincible, they are not without weaknesses. One of their weaknesses is that they consume a lot of energy. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists. To be able to stop time, accelerate, and decelerate it. What kind of divine skill is this? This is simply a legendary figure who can play with time. Faced with such power, ordinary saints would not be able to fight back at all. However, such a powerful power would naturally consume a lot of energy. Moreover, the larger the area it covered, the more things it affected, and the more energy it consumed. If it was an ordinary ancient saint, the space domain they condensed would be far inferior to that of the ancient saints. Naturally, it would not be able to cause such a huge consumption of energy. With just a thought, a modern saint could make a modern saint obedient and unable to move. However, he was different. He had just entered the near ancient realm, and the space domain he condensed had already reached 400 light years. This was a range that would scare many saints to death. It was even larger than the space domain of the ancient saints. If an ordinary ancient saint wanted to move it, he would need to expend a lot of effort. It was like an adult trying to pull a train with all his strength. He would not be able to do it, even if he was exhausted to death. As expected, building a solid foundation and advancing step by step is the right way. Xia Ping clenched his fists and understood the principles of cultivation even more. The more solid the foundation, the brighter and brighter the future. The higher the realm he ascended to, the greater the gap between him and other saints. Although the resources he needed to consume were 10 times, or even more than 100 times more than other saints, the battle power he could display was not something ordinary saints could compare to. He had only just entered the near ancient realm, but he was already able to render the ancient demon helpless. This was all because of his unparalleled and frighteningly large space domain. With the power of this space domain, he was undefeatable. Chapter 2353. Damn it, we can't continue fighting. Retreat, retreat immediately. At this moment, the ancient demon Elderweiss expression was extremely ugly. He had already clearly realized that he could not kill this ancient demon Fiend with his own strength. If this continued, he might even be the one to die. Without another word, his figure flashed, and he immediately chose to retreat. No way retreat. He's just an ancient demon, and he actually wants us to run? What a joke. This is not a joke. Didn't you see Captain's miserable state just now? Even the space-time domain couldn't do anything to this demon Fiend. You can imagine how evil this demon is and how powerful he is. Indeed, just now more than 20 of us attacked, but we were all instantly injured. Our space-time domain is as fragile as paper. If this continues, we'll probably be finished. Where there's life, there's hope. There's no need to fight to the death with this demon. That's right. Hell is huge. It's okay to find other lower planes of hell to invade. The other demons also received the message from the ancient demon Elderweiss' divine sense and knew that they were retreating. They were shocked that their captain wanted to retreat. After all, it was a great humiliation for an ancient demon to retreat because of a recent demon. He would become the laughingstock of countless demons. However, they had survived in the void of hell for a long time and naturally knew what it meant to be cautious in advance and retreat. It was not shameful to choose to retreat in the face of danger. Only by staying alive could they have the right to choose their future. Otherwise, if they died, it would really be the end of all their troubles. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, not only did the ancient demon Elderweiss retreat, but the other demons also quickly flew into the distance. It was as if they were using all their strength to escape. So fast. Xia Ping originally wanted to attack and teach this group of demons a painful lesson. However, before he could do anything, he realized that the ancient demon Elderweiss was faster than anyone else. Especially when he used the space-time domain, it greatly increased his escape speed. Even Xia Ping would find it difficult to catch up to the ancient demon who was fleeing with all his might. In just a breath's time, this group of demons was thousands of kilometers away. Suddenly, Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and stopped where he was. He did not chase after the demons because he immediately sensed that a group of void monsters had appeared several hundred light years away. There were over 100,000 of them, and they were densely packed as they flew towards the burning hell. Soon, they would collide head-on with the devils. Why would a void monster appear? Could have been attracted by this group of demons? Or was it drawn here by the burning hell? Xia Ping frowned. He also knew some information about void monsters. They like to appear near the higher planes of hell and hunt all kinds of demons. Void monsters rarely appeared in low-level hellish planes because these void monsters were very picky. They felt that these low-level demons did not have much energy and were not delicious food. However, the high hell plane was different. It contained too much hell's origin energy, and it also nurtured countless powerful demons. It was a place with abundant food, which naturally attracted many void monsters. And now, the burning hell was the same. After fusing with a few low-level hellish planes, it emitted a powerful hell's origin energy. It was like a sun spreading out its light. Perhaps it was because of this that the nearby void monsters were attracted to this place. That was also why the ancient demon Elderweiss and the other demons were attracted. Of course, they could not eliminate the possibility that these void monsters were chasing after Elderweiss and the other demons. No matter what, the sudden appearance of these void monsters was a huge problem. After all, if these 100,000 void monsters charged towards the burning hell, the entire place would probably be destroyed. What's going on? That demon Fiend doesn't seem to be chasing us anymore. Some demons immediately noticed Xiaoping's actions. They probably chose to give up because they know that we can run away quickly. After all, when we run, a mere ancient demon can't catch up to us. An ancient demon said proudly. The other demons' mouths twitched. They were speechless and did not know what to say. They were demons from the higher planes of hell. Moreover, there was an ancient demon and 20 ancient demons. This kind of power could sweep through all the lower planes of hell. But now, they were being chased by an ancient demon. What was there to be proud of? They were even bragging about how fast they could run. Even though they were thick-skinned as demons, their faces were flushed red. The ancient demon Elderweiss was also thick-skinned. He did not say a word. He was not sure if the demon Fiend would catch up to them. It was better to escape as soon as possible. If the demon really caught up to them, an earth-shattering battle would be unavoidable. Wait, but at this moment, the ancient demon Elderweiss's expression changed. He immediately stopped, because with the ancient demon's divine sense, although the range was much smaller than Xiaoping's, he finally sensed the many void monsters coming from afar. What's wrong, Captain? Many demons looked at Captain Elderweiss in confusion. This was the first time they saw their captain's expression so ugly. It was as if he had encountered some kind of life-threatening danger. Damn it. Ahead, just ahead, there are 100,000 void monsters charging over. Elderweiss gritted his teeth. What? 100,000 void monsters? What kind of joke is this? How are we supposed to fight against 100,000 void monsters? Those are all immortal monsters. Even the ancient demon would have a hard time killing them. We are no match for them. Run. Let's run. We can't fight these void monsters head-on. Otherwise, we will die. Bullsh *T. There's still the Fiend blocking us. Are we going to die if we go back? It's over. It's over. There are wolves in front and tigers behind. How are we supposed to escape? We will die no matter where we go. When the demons heard this, their faces turned pale. Their bodies trembled. They immediately understood that they were in a desperate situation. There was no way to escape. Go back. Go back immediately. There's still a chance of survival. Fighting these void monsters will only lead to death. The ancient demon Elderweiss roared. He immediately made a decision. Compared to the danger of the Fiend, these void monsters were more terrifying. It would rather die in the hands of other demons than to die in the hands of these void monsters. Chapter 23:54. Walala, but before these demons could make a move, the 100,000 void monsters seemed to have sensed Elderweiss and the other demons. They immediately went berserk, emitting chaotic, murderous, evil auras. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, distorting the void. They increased their speed and performed spatial leaps, arriving in front of these demons in a few breaths. Instantly, the void monsters let out excited roars. Their appearance was distorted, strange, and terrifying, as if countless monsters were pieced together. At the same time, they had many powerful tentacles. It's over. We've been discovered by these void monsters. Damn it, how can they run so fast, crossing dozens of light years in an instant? These void monsters must have a teleporter, able to instantly teleport all the void monsters to another place. Run. Hurry up and run. We're no match for them. Run my ass. It's 100,000 void monsters. Where can we run? Even if we can't run, we can't just wait for death here. Let's fight it out with these void monsters. Even if we die, we'll drag one of them down with us. The demons roared in anger, feeling fear from the bottom of their hearts. These void monsters were the greatest nemesis of them, the true destroyers of hell, existences akin to natural disasters. Even in the higher planes of hell, there were countless demons who were afraid of the void monsters. In the past, there were many higher planes of hell that were devoured and bitten by the void monsters, falling into a certain state, full of holes. One could imagine how terrifying these void monsters were. They were the source of chaos, slaughter, and apocalypse. Damn it, scram, scram. The ancient demon Elderweiss roared in anger. Even though he was heavily injured by Xiaoping and his combat power was greatly weakened, he still comprehended the law of time. And as a medieval demon that had fused with the space-time domain, he naturally had the ability to retaliate. He operated the space-time domain in his body and blasted it towards the void monsters. However, the 100,000 void monsters were too terrifying. Their bodies emanated a gray, chaotic aura, seemingly distorting the laws of hell nearby, emitting the aura of chaos, slaughter, war, and so on. Bang, bang, bang. When Elderwise space-time domain tried to control these void monsters, it was immediately torn apart by the chaotic aura of the void monsters, and all the power of the law returned to chaos. The power of the space-time domain could not affect the void monsters at all. It seemed as though most of the nomological powers would be completely ineffective when it came to these void monsters. Impossible, it's not working at all. Not working at all. The medieval demon Elderweiss was both shocked and furious. He couldn't believe his eyes, but before he could attack again, 100,000 void monsters charged towards him. Immediately, Elderweiss let out a blood-curdling scream. He did not expect these void monsters to be so terrifying. Dozens of void monsters immediately pounced on him and bit off his limbs. There were even dozens of void monsters that bit off its head and tore its body apart in a frenzy. In just a breath's time, Elderweiss' body was torn apart into countless pieces. Even his soul was torn apart by the void monster. The ancient demon Elderweiss was dead. No way, he died just like that. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Based on his strength, it would be very difficult to kill the medieval demon Elderweiss. Even if it was difficult for the other party to kill him, if Elderweiss wanted to escape, it would be very easy for him to use the power of the space-time domain. Even if he could defeat the other party, it would be very difficult for him to catch up to Elderweiss. However, he did not expect the medieval demon Elderweiss to be so unlucky to encounter 100,000 void monsters. This was simply an army of monsters, and he died in just a single encounter. This was also Elderweiss' bad luck because these void monsters had too much of a restraining effect on demons. It was as though they were the natural nemesis of demons. They possessed the chaotic nomological powers, and to a certain extent, they were immune to the nomological attacks of demons. Most domains could not restrain the chaotic powers. Captain, oh my God, Captain! When the numerous devils saw this scene, all of them were scared out of their wits. They could not believe their eyes. The famous medieval demon had died just like that. He was bitten to death by so many void monsters and torn to pieces without the ability to retaliate. This was a medieval demon. Even in the higher planes of hell, he was considered a small noble. But now, he was killed so easily and became the food of these void monsters. Not good, run quickly. If we don't run, we're dead. We're dead. At this moment, an ancient demon screamed because it saw 100,000 void monsters surging over like a tidal wave. After tearing apart the body of the medieval demon Elderweiss, they did not stop at all. It was as though nothing could stop them, especially when these void monsters were emitting killing, chaos, madness, and other emotions. They were even more terrifying than demons, as though they were killing machines that did not fear death. The demons were scared half to death and ran for their lives. They simply wished that their parents could give them more legs. At this moment, they could not care less about Xiaoping's threat and ran in the direction of the burning hell. Boom! At this moment, a huge space domain enveloped over 400 light-years. In an instant, the movements of the void monsters within this domain slowed down as though they had fallen into a swamp. At this moment, Xiaoping finally made his move. He could not let these void monsters near the burning hell. Otherwise, the burning hell that he had painstakingly built would definitely be destroyed. What? The demons were dumbfounded. They did not dare to believe their eyes. These void monsters were creatures that made countless demons tremble in fear. Even a medieval demon Elderweiss had died in their hands. They were so scared that it was too late to escape, but this demon Fiend actually took the initiative to fight. Could it be that it was afraid that it would not die fast enough? Even if it was courting death, this was not the way to do it. Bloom, World Tree. Xiaoping did not care about what the other demons were thinking. He immediately activated the youthful, Dharch longevity technique in his body. A huge and dense life force surged out of his body, and the World Tree in the depths of his body suddenly collapsed from the void. This tree was incomparably huge. In an instant, it spanned across 400 light-years and filled the entire space domain. It was like a small kiliocosm, and all the void monsters were included in this world domain. In front of the World Tree, these 100,000 void monsters were like tiny, constantly struggling bugs. Chapter 2355. When the demons saw the true body of the World Tree, they were so shocked that they could not speak. It was as if they saw the origin of all living beings, the beginning of all worlds. It was indescribably great. They felt that they had lived for billions of years, but they were incomparably insignificant in front of this tree. It was as if this tree was an ancient species that had been born since the beginning of chaos. It was a great existence that could be mentioned in the same breath as the demon god. At this moment, they were completely stunned by the World Tree. Even with the threat of 100,000 void monsters nearby, they could not recover from their shock. Fine. Xiaoping formed a seal with both hands, activating the World Tree. His mind and spirit became one, as if he had become one with the World Tree. He could feel the World Tree's desire for these void monsters. It was even more desire than before. It could not wait to kill these void monsters and obtain the fertilizer left on their bodies. Such a special substance had a great effect on the growth of the World Tree. Therefore, at this moment, the World Tree was going all out. The billions of roots on the World Tree danced, covering a radius of 400 light-years. Each root seemed to have its own will, containing the laws of the world and emitting the aura of primal chaos. Whoosh! In the next second, the roots of the World Tree immediately wrapped around the 100,000 void monsters like pythons, binding them tightly. Roar! Feeling the killing intent, the 100,000 void monsters let out angry roars. They circulated the power of chaos in their bodies, trying to struggle free and tear apart the roots of the World Tree. However, the roots of the World Tree were too powerful. They contained the information of the laws of the world and the energy of primal chaos. They were indestructible. For a moment, these void monsters were tightly bound like rice dumplings. They cannot move at all. Heavens, it's too powerful. It actually bound these void monsters in an instant. Maybe we can win and not die. A demon immediately shouted, "Stop dreaming. What's the big deal about binding them up? Those are void monsters, undying monsters." Another demon sneered. Even a medieval demon would need to expend a lot of energy and effort to kill a void monster, let alone a near-ancient demon. Although Fiend does have some ability to temporarily restrain these void monsters, it's only temporary. When these void monsters go berserk, all the cages will be broken. It felt that Fiend's method could only temporarily restrain these void monsters. It could not kill these enemies at all. Sooner or later, these void monsters would break free. What does this have to do with us? Taking advantage of this time gap, we should hurry up and escape. Even if these void monsters managed to break free, we would have already run far away. One of the devils revealed a treacherous look. It felt that this was a great thing. Regardless of what method this devil Fiend used, it had indeed stopped these void monsters. Hence, it felt that it could take this opportunity to escape quickly, far away from where these void monsters were, and continue to struggle at death's door in other hellish planes. You're right. There's no need for us to stay here. Let's run. Even if these void monsters break free later on, Fiend will die. It has nothing to do with us. What else is there to say? Hurry up and leave. Many devils discussed among themselves. They were already planning to retreat and tried to escape quickly. They felt that this devil Fiend was really a good person. It was practically sacrificing itself for others. It clearly knew how terrifying these void monsters were. but it still went forward alone to stop them and was willing to sacrifice itself. If this was not a good devil, then what was? Rumble at this moment, the void monsters that were restrained by the roots of the world tree seemed to be enraged. The angrier they were, the more frenzied they were, the more terrifying the power they could unleash. Balls of dark, chaotic, and terrifying energy surged out of these void monsters. It seemed to corrode and corrode everything. The roots of the world tree that were restraining them actually started to show slight cracks. Even with the power of the world tree, it seemed to be unable to completely restrain these void monsters. Once these void monsters broke free from the restraints of the world tree's roots, they would definitely take the opportunity to devour the world tree. You actually want to devour me? You want to die? Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. He didn't think that just the power of the world tree would be enough to kill these void monsters. In order to kill these void monsters, he probably needed his bloodline god art. Hell, Golden Crow Fire. Walala, in an instant, he circulated the Hellfire Golden Crow bloodline in his body. 36 billion Hellfire Golden Crow cells were trembling, as though 36 billion suns were burning fiercely. At this moment, extremely terrifying dark golden flames surged out of his body. They surged out from the 108,000 pores on his body and then gathered together, forming a dark golden sea of flames that covered a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Vaguely, the wisps of dark golden flames seemed to form small golden crows. The temperature within a radius of 400 light-years was rising rapidly. This part of the void was burning until it collapsed, and black holes appeared. Burn turned into ashes. A cold glint flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He clapped his hands and activated the Hellfire Golden Crow. In an instant, this dark golden sea of flames erupted, forming billions of wisps of flames. These flames also formed small Hellfire Golden Crows, as though they were the shadows of demons born from the depths of hell. They seemed to have their own consciousness as they charged towards the void monsters. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, these small Hellfire Golden Crows tore the bodies of these void monsters apart. The terrifying Hellfire Golden Crow burned on their bodies. These flames even used the dark energy within the bodies of these void monsters as fuel, causing the flames to burn even more vigorously. 100,000 void monsters let out shrill screams at the same time, producing a terrifying soul shriek. It formed waves of strange and powerful soul waves, destroying living beings in all directions. Fortunately, these demons ran quickly when they saw that the situation was bad. Otherwise, it was unknown how many demon souls would have been shattered. At this moment, these void monsters that did not know what fear was also felt unprecedented pain and fear. Such pain and fear penetrated deep into their souls and could not be forgotten. Rumble, in just a few breaths of time, the void monsters could not withstand the burning of the Golden Crow hell flames and were burned to ashes one by one, leaving behind puddles of dark matter. Chapter 2356. Many devils were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They thought that they were dead for sure this time. That devil cattail had foolishly charged forward and was probably doomed as well. After all, their captain had also died in the hands of these void monsters. Moreover, they knew how terrifying these void monsters were. It was fine that they were powerful, but most importantly, they were unkillable. They could not be killed by ordinary means, so how could they resist them? But now that Baidu attacked, it seemed to be using a strange and mysterious dark golden flame. As it burned, the void monsters were burned to ashes one after another, unable to retaliate. What kind of flame is this? Even those unkillable void monsters can't resist it. It's too terrifying. It's indeed too terrifying. It seems like there's only a pile of residue left after being burned. Who would have thought that those void monsters could not withstand a single blow? It seems like these unkillable monsters still have a weakness. This Baidu is too mysterious. It actually has a way to kill these void monsters. If the overlords of the high-level hell planes find out, it will definitely cause a huge commotion. Many demons were amazed. Their eyes flickered, revealing a glimmer of light. They knew the predicament that high-level hell planes faced. They were surrounded by countless void monsters, layer upon layer. The reason why these high-level hell planes could not devote all their forces to exploring other hell planes was that most of their combat power was to guard against the invasion of these void monsters. If they could find a way to kill these void monsters, it would definitely cause innumerable demon overlords to go crazy. Rumble, in a few breaths' time, the golden crow hell's flames spread, covering a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. 100,000 void monsters were surrounded by this sea of flames and had nowhere to hide. Soon, these void monsters were burned to death, leaving behind only a pile of mysterious black matter. Whoosh! Seeing this, the world tree in Xiaoping's sea of consciousness immediately became extremely excited. Without waiting for his orders, the roots of the world tree stretched out from the depths of the void. These roots were like the monster's tentacles, devouring the dark matter left behind by the void monsters and absorbing it all into its body. Xiaoping could immediately sense that the world tree, which had swallowed a large amount of dark matter, was now growing at a geometrical speed. Its body was growing taller, its roots were extending, and its branches were growing. Dense emerald green leaves appeared on the countless branches. World runes also appeared on the emerald green leaves, forming pages of scriptures. Vaguely, rings of mysterious tree rings appeared on the world tree's main body, emitting emerald green light that seeped into every part of the void, communicating with countless dimensional spaces. At the same time, thanks to the growth of the world tree, Xiaoping's space domain was also expanding. It seemed to have become more solid, and the entire space domain became more indestructible. With his body as the center, a huge, solidified space domain was formed, enveloping the void in all directions like an eggshell. The boundary of the domain condensed into a solid space barrier, which looked like the texture of an ancient tortoise shell. There were also many special and powerful talismans appearing on it. As expected, this dark matter is greatly beneficial to the growth of the world tree. Xiaoping was overjoyed. He could feel that after the world tree in his body devoured the mysterious dark matter, it immediately grew tremendously. It was at least twice as strong as before. Due to the growth of the world tree, the space domain on his body also became more powerful. Every law pattern in the depths of the domain became more mysterious, powerful, and unfathomable, just like a Tao brand. In the distance, many demons also sensed the increasingly powerful aura on Xiaoping. Damn, this monster has become even stronger. Just now, he was able to beat Captain Elderweiss in a running for his life. Now he has become even stronger. Who among us is a match for him? Run, hurry up and run. We can't stay here, or we'll definitely die. Without Captain Elderweiss, we're no match for him. That's right. As long as we can leak the news that this demon puppet has the means to kill void monsters, we'll definitely make a fortune. Maybe the Overlord will grant us wealth that we'll never be able to enjoy in our lifetime. We might even become nobles because of this. That's right. Let's hurry up and run. The eyes of the many demons flickered. They didn't waste any more words and immediately fled in all directions. In fact, their speed was even faster than when they were being chased by the void monsters. Trying to run? All of you come back here. With a thought, Xiaoping immediately sensed the movements of the demons. If he were to run from so many demons, not to mention that they were splitting up, he might really have let a few of them escape. But now, the world tree on his body had grown sufficiently, causing his power and innate ability to rise exponentially. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as before. Space domain. With a loud boom, with Xiaoping as the center, a space domain that covered a radius of 400 light-years came crashing down. It was as if an entire world was crushing down on them, causing the void to distort. Dong! With just a single strike, the entire void space was distorted. All void powers were suppressed, and the flowing hell energy was also completely locked down, becoming motionless. One after another, the demons were locked down. It was as if a seal had been placed on their bodies. All the space around them seemed to have solidified, causing them to be unable to move. They could only think. Impossible. How can a space domain be this powerful? I'm a near ancient demon, a peak near ancient demon at that. I'm only a step away from the middle ancient realm. Yet, with just a single thought, I'm suppressed to the point where I can't move. What kind of joke is this? I can't move. I can't move at all. It's as if I'm being suppressed by a five-fingered mountain. All my strength is futile. I can't even break through the space of this void. The gap is too big. The gap is too big. Is this really a near ancient demon like us? No one would dare to say no even if we said that this guy is a middle ancient demon. The demons were all terrified. They could feel the huge gap between them and Xiaoping. If he wanted to, he could crush most of them with a single thought. Do you choose to submit, or do you choose to die? Xiaoping looked down at these demons from above. Just like that, he looked. Chapter 23:57. In the face of Xiaoping's intimidation and coercion, the demons didn't hesitate at all. After witnessing Xiaoping's terrifying strength, the demons who bullied the weak and feared the strong didn't have any sense of propriety. They all expressed their willingness to submit and not resist. The result went smoothly. The demons all surrendered. Naturally, Xiaoping also forcibly engraved the Nether God curse on them. This way, even if they wanted to betray him again, they would have to pay the price with their lives. Therefore, these demons from the higher planes of hell were completely tamed. Originally, some of them had planned to pretend to submit and run back to their original planes while Xiaoping wasn't paying attention. But now, he had completely severed their thoughts, and they no longer dared to be disloyal. At this moment, the power of the demons in the burning hell swelled once more. More than 20 ancient demons and more than 300 immortal demons appeared. This kind of power was enough to sweep through all the lower planes of hell. Master! One demon after another stepped forward and respectfully greeted Xiaoping, expressing their loyalty. Very good. Tell me about your origins, where you came from, and what you plan to do. Xiaoping didn't kill these demons because they were of great value. From the looks of it, they seemed to be from the higher planes of hell. Therefore, they definitely knew more about hell than all the demons in the burning hell. He wanted to learn more about the world of hell from these demons. Yes, the demons immediately told him everything they knew. I see. So this is how the planes of hell are divided. Several hours later, Xiaoping nodded. Through the demons' detailed explanations, he had a basic understanding of the vast world of hell. First was the division of the planes of hell. According to the source, area, and the demons they nurtured, they were divided into several levels. The weakest planes were the lower planes. There were too many of these planes like the eternal sands. They could be found in every corner of hell. No demon could say for sure how many there were. The most powerful beings in these hellish planes were the ancient demons. A medium hell plane was even more powerful than a low hell plane. It was at least 10,000 times more powerful than a low hell plane, and its surface area was also boundlessly vast. Such a plane of hell could give birth to ancient and medieval demons. Higher hell planes were naturally more powerful than medium hell planes. They were millions of times larger than medium hell planes, and their territory was boundless. Such a hell plane could breed ancient demons and even demons of the invincible realm. And they came from a higher plane called the poison goo hell. It was unimaginably large. Even the billions of burning hells combined couldn't compare. Therefore, it was not unreasonable for these demons to say that the demons of the burning hell were countryside demons. It was like comparing an unknown island country to the United States. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. They didn't want to occupy such a rural place. They just wanted to plunder the resources of this low-level hell plane and exchange them for wealth so that they could return to the hell of poison and live a life of debauchery. You want to plunder? Xiaoping looked at this group of demons with a strange expression. This kind of behavior reminded him of the colonial era on Earth. Those pirates who set out from Europe also sailed everywhere, discovered new lands, and plundered primitive tribes. Now, these demons are doing the same thing. I'm sorry, Master. We didn't think it through and did such a heinous thing. I hope Master can forgive us. We deserve to die." The demons were ashamed. If they knew Xiaoping was so powerful, they wouldn't have dared to provoke him. In the end, not only did they not manage to plunder the treasures, they had all become prisoners, and even the captain had died. This was simply a heavy loss, and they had suffered a double loss. It's okay. I don't blame you. The weak are prey to the strong. This is hell. Xiaoping waved his hand and didn't care. The behavior of this group of demons is normal in hell. Even if there is no pirate demon like Elvis, there will be other demons. It was said that this kind of adventurous behavior had been legalized and popular in the higher planes of hell. Countless demons from the higher planes of hell wanted to come out and adventure, trying to get rich overnight. After all, as long as they found a new lower plane of hell, they could get rich quickly. Which demon wouldn't be tempted? "Thank you for your magnanimity, Master." The group of demons were grateful and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. After all, if their master held a grudge, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to sit still in the future. They didn't know when their master would find an excuse to kill them. Lower plane of hell, middle plane of hell, high plane of hell. So which plane of hell did the demon who plotted against me come from? Is it a middle plane of hell? Such a plane of hell can indeed give birth to ancient demons. But if the other party is from the higher plane of hell, then it'll be a little troublesome. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Previously, he had plotted against that ancient demon to vent his anger. Presumably, the ancient demon who was plotted against by him wouldn't let it go so easily. So he felt that he might need to make some preparations in advance to resist the revenge of the ancient demon. Thinking of this, he continued to ask, "Then what about the higher planes of hell? Are there more powerful planes of hell?" "I'm not sure." An ancient demon shook his head. "I haven't seen a plane of hell stronger than the higher plane of hell, but there are indeed similar legends circulating throughout the entire plane of hell. It's said that the plane of hell is stronger than the higher plane of hell. Such planes of hell give birth to terrifying demon gods, who are great rulers who can sweep away all demons. But such a plane of hell seems to be impossible for ordinary demons to reach. It seems to be in another dimension, unapproachable, untouchable, and unreachable. Demon plane of hell." Hearing this, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Perhaps such a plane of hell really existed. After all, the existence of the bloodline of the Golden Crow was the best proof. If such a tyrannical demon god didn't exist, how could such a bloodline be passed down? But thinking about such things now was really too far away. It wasn't something he could think about now. It would be better to think about it when he advanced to a higher realm. Chapter 2358. Taking a day off for God-tier demon currently typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 2359. Xiaoping continued to ask these demons about the poisonous goo hell. He found that this high-level hell was extremely far from the burning hell. Even if these demons wanted to go back, it would take them a long time. However, for these demons with endless lifespans, this amount of time was nothing. After all, hundreds or even thousands of years of travel time were already common in the infernal world. Poisonous goo hell? It seems that if I have time, I can find a chance to go to this high-level hell. Maybe I can get more useful information and hell treasures. Xiaoping touched his chin, thinking about his next move. However, he was just thinking about it. For the time being, he did not want to go to the high-level hell. It was better to strengthen his base camp, the burning hell. If the burning hell was destroyed, then the spatial passage to the infernal world would be gone. Even if he wanted to find a place to enter the infernal world in the future, it would be extremely difficult. Therefore, the defense of the burning hell was the top priority. He could not afford to lose it. A few days later, this group of demons from the poisonous goo hell had completely integrated into the burning hell. Because of the nether god's curse, they did not dare to cause trouble in the burning hell. All of them were obedient and loyal. Xiaoping threw these demons to Luna to manage, and then returned to the original universe. I'm finally back. Once again returning to the Thunder City in the Thunder Sea region of the Mystic Zone, Xiaoping felt a familiar aura and immediately felt happy. After all, no matter what, the infernal world was not very suitable for humans to live in. The smell of sulfur was everywhere. However, this trip to the infernal world gave him a lot of benefits. First of all, his infernal Golden Crow bloodline had further evolved, and he passed the Thunder Tribulation. Then, he successfully broke through to the near ancient realm and comprehended the law of space. This made his combat power increase geometrically, and he improved by leaps and bounds. After that, he also merged with the origin of the Scorched Hell, causing the Burning Hell to further evolve. The demon forces under his command had also greatly expanded. If he brought these demons back to the universe, he would probably be the overlord of a force enough to sweep away many ordinary Saint-class sections. Corinne, did anything major happen in the Thundersea region recently? Xiaoping asked. Indeed, something big has happened, Corinne said in a deep voice. Recently, the movements on the side of the demon race are very unusual. It is very calm. It seems that they're constantly gathering troops to let a large number of demon saints, as well as their vassal races, return. Undercurrents are surging. It seems that they're preparing for war. It seemed to feel the dark clouds of war looming over it, as if war was coming. Prepare for war? Upon hearing this, Xiaoping squinted his eyes. The Thundersea region is occupied by the various peak-level races, forming a terrifying balance between them. It has been peaceful for billions of years. To be honest, such a balance was very difficult to break. Why did the demons have such confidence? No, it should be that they had the strength to start a war. Could it be that they already have the absolute confidence to defeat our human race and become the overlord of the Thundersea region? This is indeed very strange. Many top leaders of the human clan are also confused about this. They don't know if the demon clan is deliberately trying to mislead them or if it is true. Corin nodded. But it is better to be safe than sorry. Those demon saints are not fools. If they did not have absolute confidence, how could they dare to start a war? Therefore, the top leaders of the human clan have issued an urgent intelligence mission to the great saints. They need a saint to investigate what happened in the demon race. What did they do that gave them the confidence to change the status quo and start a war? If anyone can complete this mission, they will be rewarded with 100 million points. Therefore, the saints of the entire Thunder City are boiling with excitement. Each and every one of them is rubbing their palms. 100 million points. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Just investigating the intelligence would actually reward 100 million points. This was an astronomical reward. It was no wonder that countless saints were tempted. After all, if an ordinary immortal saint wanted to obtain 100 million points, they would have to spend a lot of effort and experience a lot of dangers. Such a reward was enough to make many saints take risks out of desperation. But this mission is not so easy to complete, right? Xiaoping asked. Of course it is not so easy. If it was so easy, the top leaders of the human clan would not have given such an astonishing amount of 100 million points, causing countless saints to become restless. Corinne said in a deep voice. First of all, this intelligence seems to be top secret information of the demon race's top leaders. Even among the top leaders of the demon race, only a few demon saints know about it. Therefore, even if our human clan has spies in the demon race, we are unable to obtain any important information. Secondly, the demon race also has a city in the Thunder Continent as their base. It is called Hymus City. This city is heavily guarded, not the least bit inferior to our human clan's Thunder City. Therefore, it is almost impossible for our human clan's saints to sneak into this city. This has led to the lack of information about the demon race. He expressed that it was extremely difficult to obtain this information. So far, many saints had accepted the mission, but none of them could complete it. So to say, it is impossible for the human clan to sneak into the demon race's Hymus City? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Of course, Corinne said as a matter of course. Although the technology of the demon race is not as powerful as that of the human clan, there is no way for every human to have a smart chip that stores the genetic information of every living being. However, they also have a unique detection method. It seems that they can check the bloodline of every demon. If they do not match the bloodline of the demon race, they will be regarded as an enemy and killed on the spot. Humans are simply unable to sneak in. Demon race bloodline? In that case, it is not impossible to sneak into the demon race's city. The power of the non-phase mask can transform into all things in the world. Perhaps it can deceive the detection method of the demon race. Xiaoping touched his chin. It is indeed possible to deceive them, but what do you want to do? Don't tell me you want to sneak into Hymus City? Hearing this, Corinne was immediately taken aback. I indeed have a similar idea. Xiaoping said. No, this kind of thing is absolutely impossible. Corinne immediately said. As the saying goes, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Hymus City is the headquarters of the demon race. There are countless restrictive arrays, and demon saints are as common as clouds. If something unexpected happens, it will be difficult to escape even if you have wings. There is no need for you to take the risk to sneak into Hymus City now. Even if you have great certainty, you should not do it. Corinne's expression was very serious. He wanted to stop Xiaoping's reckless behavior. Chapter 2360. That's right, Master. Sneaking into Hymus City is something you absolutely cannot do. Hearing this, the green ox stood on the same side as Corinne. According to Master's current potential, if you continue to cultivate, sooner or later you will stand at the peak of the universe. A mere 100 million points was nothing to his current master. It was nothing at all. There was no need for him to take such a huge risk to infiltrate Hymus City. Although the risk of an accident is very small, who knows what will happen? It is better to be safe than sorry. Master status is precious. There is no need to do such a stupid thing. It was also firmly opposed to Xiaoping's reckless behavior. Don't worry, I don't want to court death. I also know the danger of this matter. If I don't have absolute certainty, I won't do such a thing. Xiaoping also understood the concerns of the green ox and Corinne. In fact, he was not so stupid, nor would he start to become arrogant after becoming powerful and look down on the demon race. After all, Hymus City was the lair of the demon race in the Thunder Continent. There were countless experts there, and even the ancient demon sage was suppressing it. Who knew what would happen? Once his whereabouts were discovered by the ancient demon sage, and he was still in Hymus City, it would be impossible for him to escape. There was basically no possibility of him escaping. In that case, Master, do you have any special means? The green ox asked curiously. If I didn't have absolute certainty, I wouldn't have agreed to do such a thing. Corinne also looked at Xiaoping very seriously, wanting to know Xiaoping's thoughts and means. Doppelganger technique. Xiaoping smiled slightly. In fact, he had long wanted to condense a doppelganger magical power. Because he had too many things to do, he was simply unable to split himself. If he could condense a few doppelgangers, he could appear in different places at the same time. In fact, this would also be of great benefit to hiding his fake identities such as Wu Wudi, Fengdu, and so on. It would not be easily discovered by others or other forces. Doppelganger technique? This is indeed a good method. The problem is that the current doppelganger magical power is too weak. At most, it has 1/10,000th of the strength of the main body. It will be difficult to hide from the detection of the demon race. Corinne said in a deep voice. In the universe, there were many experts who had practiced doppelganger magical power and could condense thousands of doppelgangers at once. The problem was that such doppelgangers were simply vulnerable. It was impossible to hide from Hymus City's defense system. If it was that simple, Hymus City would have become a civ a long time ago. It is true that ordinary cloning techniques will not work. However, the one that I have cultivated is different. Xiaoping said confidently. He had also checked through all kinds of secret techniques from the human race's All Saints Palace. Unfortunately, none of the cloning techniques were particularly powerful. All of them were of little value. The clones condensed were too weak and could not be compared to the real body. Moreover, it was very easy for the enemy to discover the flaws. However, he had the existence of the system, which listed many powerful divine abilities related to cloning. Among them was a cloning secret technique, Great Origin cloning technique. This doppelganger secret technique was extremely powerful. It allowed one to create a powerful doppelganger by splitting one's body's origin. Moreover, the doppelganger's strength would be 90% of the original strength. He could condense 9 similar clones. In fact, the 9 clones could even cultivate at the same time, which was equivalent to increasing the cultivation speed by 9 times. There was also an extremely strong mental connection between the doppelganger and the original body. No matter how far away they were, a mental connection could be formed. There was no power that could obstruct them. Moreover, if such a doppelganger died, as long as the original body did not die, he could spend a certain amount of origin power to restore the doppelganger to its peak state. Therefore, as long as he successfully cultivated this secret technique, Xiaoping would be able to condense a doppelganger and send it to the demon race's city on the Thunder Continent, Heimu City. Even if his doppelganger was discovered by the demon sages, then the doppelganger could immediately die without harming the original body. This was an extremely powerful auxiliary secret technique. Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. System, exchange for this great origin cloning technique. Yes, host. Because this great origin cloning technique is a forbidden technique, it is restricted by the laws of the universe. Therefore, it is unique. If the host successfully cultivates it, then no one else in this universe can successfully cultivate it. The system said, because it is a forbidden technique, the price is also quite expensive. If you want to successfully exchange for it, you will need to spend 50 hatred crystals this time. I hope the host can consider it carefully. 50 hatred crystals? Hearing this, Xiaoping was amazed. This was the most expensive cultivation secret technique he had ever exchanged for. However, this great origin cloning technique was indeed worth the price. Go ahead, there's no problem. He did not hesitate. Anyway, he had thousands of hatred crystals on him. A mere 50 hatred crystals was nothing at all. Yes, host. Hearing this, the system replied. Rumble. In an instant, a warm current immediately poured into the depths of Xiaoping's sea of consciousness, enlightening him. Immediately, a large number of pictures, information on magic talismans poured into his sea of consciousness. So that's how it is. This is the great origin cloning technique. It's really amazing. Xiaoping comprehended this forbidden secret technique in an instant and understood how to cultivate it. Without the help of the system, it would probably take at least 1,000 years to comprehend it. But now, he had learned it in an instant. Whoosh, he operated the great origin cloning technique, and the origin power and soul power in his body immediately divided into 9. For Xiaoping, this was simply a piece of cake. Because he had cultivated the Panwu Sutra before, he already had 9 purple mansion spaces. Therefore, the cultivation of the great origin cloning technique was a bit natural and did not take much effort. It seemed that this great origin cloning technique and the Panwu Sutra were of the same origin. After learning the Panwu Sutra, it was quite easy to cultivate the great origin cloning technique. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the origin energy on Xiaoping's body immediately split into 9, condensing into magic talisman seeds. They slowly rotated in the air like cyclones, exuding a powerful and mysterious aura. Thousands of slight cracks appeared in the void, and the 9 magic seeds immediately absorbed a huge amount of mysterious energy from the depths of these cracks in the void. Then, they instantly turned into real bodies, as if the flesh and blood had completely constructed Xiaoping's body. It's done. Xiaoping's eyes lit up, and he suddenly found that there were 9 clones around him, each emitting a powerful aura and distorting space. They were almost the same as his original body, and their eyes were extremely sharp. If it weren't for him, no one would have been able to discover the difference between his original body and his clones. Chapter 2361. How mystical! Xiaoping sensed that he had split into 9 clones. Including his main body, he had a total of 10 bodies. Moreover, each clone contained his own origin energy and soul energy. As long as he split off a strand of his divine sense, he would be able to easily control the clone as if it were his main body. Even the most powerful eye technique would not be able to detect the difference between the clone and his main body. After all, each clone contained his soul, energy, and origin law. However, it seems like the clones are not completely complete. Xiaoping sensed that the 9 clones he had formed were just outer shells. They did not possess the formidable combat prowess of the main body. Host, the 9 origin clones that you formed are indeed incomplete. The system sensed Xiaoping's thoughts and replied, the origin clones are equivalent to providing the host with a starting point. The host will still need to expend a large amount of resources to accumulate the cultivation of the clones. However, as the host has already reached the level of a near-ancient sage and comprehended the law of space, the clones do not need to comprehend it again. As long as they have enough resources, they will be able to easily raise their cultivation to the same level as the host. I see. Xiaoping nodded. He had finally understood some of the profoundness of the great origin clone technique. Although it was wonderful to have 9 clones with 90% of the main body's combat prowess, the amount of resources required was also rather astonishing. If he wanted to raise the cultivation of all 9 clones at the same time, he would need to expend 10 times the usual amount of resources. This was a technique that only the rich could cultivate. Without money, one could forget about cultivating it. If the clones were destroyed, while they could recover, they would have to cultivate from the beginning again. The amount of resources required was also no small matter. It was more than enough to bankrupt an ordinary near-ancient sage. Fortunately, he had the world tree to assist him. By killing sages, he could devour their corpses and refine them into immortality fruits, spatial fruits, and other strange fruits. As long as he consumed one immortality fruit, he would be able to raise his clone's cultivation to the sempiternal realm. Fortunately, I have the world tree. Otherwise, how could I afford to support this supreme secret technique? Xiaoping was overjoyed. If he didn't have the world tree, even if he obtained the great origin doppelganger technique, it would be very difficult for him to use it. Just nurturing a doppelganger would be enough to bankrupt him. Host, this great origin doppelganger technique also has a wonderful feature. That is, each origin doppelganger can easily devour a type of demon god's bloodline and make it their own. They will be able to possess the divine abilities of their bloodline and even transform into a demon god. The system said, for example, if the host infuses the golden crow of hell's bloodline into one of the clones, that clone will be able to transform into the golden crow of hell. If the Tao Ye's bloodline is infused into one of the clones, it will transform into the Tao Tai. There's such a thing. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He had underestimated this supreme secret art. As expected of the forbidden art of the universe, it could only be cultivated by a single person. This was a secret art that was restricted by the laws of the universe. If he could obtain the bloodline of a demon god and transform his essence avatar into that demon god, it would be equivalent to him possessing the bloodline power of all kinds of powerful demon gods. Furthermore, every clone was equivalent to a fiend celestial, possessing all kinds of divine abilities. Although this secret technique consumed a lot of energy, one had to admit that it was heaven-defying. If news of this were to spread, it would probably shake the entire universe. This was a technique that was close to invincible. Interesting. Let's give it a try. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He immediately forced out a drop of golden crow hell's blood from his body and instantly fused it with one of the origin clones. The drop of blood immediately spread to every corner of the origin clone. Dense nomological patterns immediately appeared on the origin clone's body, as if it had completely dissected the secrets of the golden crow of hell's bloodline. It gave off a mysterious, powerful, and ancient aura. Crash! In the blink of an eye, the origin avatar had transformed into a miniature golden crow of hell. It had 3 legs and stood in the void. Its entire body was burning with dark golden flames. Every single feather on its body was burning fiercely, and there were complicated runes on them. It was as if the golden crow of hell had once again awakened from the depths of chaos. Eat it. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He immediately took out an immortal fruit and had his clone swallow it. Rumble, immediately, the immortal fruit's majestic energy erupted from the depths of the origin clone's body. In an instant, its cultivation kept rising. In a few breaths' time, it had risen to the pinnacle of the sempiternal realm. The golden crow of hell had also taken on a human form. It was an ordinary human youth who was 9 meters tall. He wore dark golden clothes, and there was a golden crow rune engraved on his forehead. It seemed to contain powerful origin source laws. A terrifying aura of flames emanated from his body. It was as if he was the ruler of flames, capable of burning everything. Xiaoping immersed his mind in it. He felt as if he had really become the real golden crow of hell. It was as if every single flame on his body contained his will, and he was the flame itself. It was as if mastering the power of flames was like a fish that knew how to swim. It was a skill that he was born with. With a single thought, he could engulf the void within a radius of billions of miles in flames, turning it into a boundless sea of flames. As expected, I confused with the bloodline of the golden crow of hell, Xiaoping exclaimed in excitement. I still have a few other powerful bloodlines in me, such as the World Tree bloodline, Taotai bloodline, and even the Black Hole Worm bloodline, Corpse Beast bloodline, and Gaia bloodline. I can use all of them to form my clones. He felt that this secret art was simply too useful. It would allow him to wield many powerful means. Furthermore, if he was not satisfied with these bloodlines, he could just have one of his clones commit suicide and fuse with another bloodline. This way, he would not have to worry about making mistakes. It's a pity that I don't have any more spatial fruits on me. Otherwise, I could raise this clone's cultivation to immemorial ancient realm. At this moment, Xiaoping was feeling a little regretful. In order to reach immemorial ancient realm, he had already devoured all of the spatial fruits he had. All he had on him at the moment were a few immortal fruits. Thus, he could only raise this clone's cultivation to sempiternal realm pinnacle. However, this clone was only formed to gather intelligence on the demonic beast race. Thus, it should be more than enough for it to reach sempiternal realm pinnacle. With such thoughts in mind, he immediately instructed Corinne, accept this mission and head to Heim's city to gather intelligence on the demonic beast race. Yes, Corinne nodded. Since Xiaoping had already formed such a realistic clone, even if he was discovered, he would not die. There was no reason for Corinne to stop him. He immediately logged into the universe virtual network and accepted the mission. Chapter 2362. Several days later, Xiaoping departed from Thunder City. Of course, only his clone was heading to Heimu City. His real body was still in the villa in Thunder City, cultivating peacefully. Over the past few days, he had completely mastered the golden crow of hell's clone. He only needed to inject a bit of his divine consciousness into the clone, and he could easily control it, as if it was his own body. He could even make the clone unleash the terrifying combat power of a peak immortal realm expert. It wasn't any weaker than an immortal saint. Moreover, because of the golden crow of hell's bloodline, it was even stronger than an ordinary immortal saint. The second clone with the bloodline of the World Tree, the third clone with the bloodline of Taotai, and the clone with the bloodline of Gaia were also in the process of incubation. When the time was right, the incubation would be successful and he could completely control the bloodline power. Whoosh! After leaving Thunder City, Xiaoping immediately exerted his full strength. A pair of dark golden wings grew out of his back. The wings flapped, and he easily blended into the void. His speed had surpassed the speed of light. Fast, it's too fast. Xiaoping was excited. He found that the golden crow of hell's clone had a very high understanding of space. The pair of dark golden wings seemed to be engraved with many mysterious patterns of principles. The wings gently flapped, and the clone's body was enveloped by space energy. It could instantly blend into the void and move dozens of light years away. Although the speed wasn't as fast as his real body, which could move 400 light years in a blink, it was still an astonishing speed. It was all thanks to the power of the golden crow of hell's bloodline. Moreover, the pair of golden crow of hell's wings could easily control the wind power, allowing the clone to move freely in the void. It was like a fish in the sea. I thought it would take a long time to reach Heimu City without the help of a spaceship. Now it seems like I can reach there in a few days. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Because this was an investigation mission, he didn't bring any treasures with him for safety reasons. Otherwise, if something were to happen to him, his clone would die in Heimu City, and the treasures on his clone would naturally be left behind in Heimu City. He had many precious treasures that were rare in the universe. He couldn't afford to lose them. Therefore, he decided to go to Heimu City empty-handed. He didn't bring any treasures. Xiao! The wings on Xiaoping's back fluttered lightly, and in an instant, he had advanced tens of light years. A ball of dark golden energy even wrapped around his body, preventing any aura from leaking out. Even if a powerful saint were to appear nearby, it would be difficult for them to detect his movements. They would not be able to sense the slight fluctuations in space. This would also prevent other hostile saints from finding trouble with him. It was like a divine bird from the chaotic era, flying freely in the void, high and mighty. Just like that, Xiaoping flew for a few more days. He didn't know how much distance he had traveled, but he knew that he wasn't far from Heimu City. Occasionally, he would meet some sages from other races. However, because his speed was too fast and he had concealed his aura, he did not bother with them in case he encountered any trouble. All of a sudden, Xiaoping, who was flying in the air, sensed a series of destructive waves coming from the depths of a huge mountain range in front of him. It seemed that 3 sacred beasts were engaged in a fierce battle with the sacred beasts of the elemental race. Interesting, there are actually 3 beast saints here, and they're at a disadvantage. They're being chased by an elemental saint and 2 immortal saints. It seems like the situation is very dangerous. Should we go and help? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Normally, he wouldn't bother with such trouble. However, he needed to enter the demon race's Heimu City, and he also needed to enter the demon race's internal department to gather information. If he could save these sacred beasts, he might be able to build a relationship with them, which would reduce a lot of trouble for him in Heimu City. Of course, he didn't need these sacred beasts to help him too much. He only needed to provide some necessary information. Oh, it seems like there's a big problem. I should go and help them. After thinking for a while, Xiaoping immediately made a decision. His figure flashed, and he immediately flew down. Thunder Continent, a boundless mountain range. At this moment, 3 peak immortal sacred beasts were being chased by an elemental saint and 2 peak immortal saints of the elemental race. The entire battlefield spanned thousands of light years. Mountains were smashed and flattened. This was a very common thing in the Thunder Continent. As long as the major races appeared on the Thunder Continent, they would kill each other the moment they met. There was no need for any conflict because this was a war. Only the cities occupied by the major races could be considered safe zones. Battles could break out at any time in other places, and even deadly battles could happen. Haha, a bunch of stupid demons. You want to escape from a near, ancient sacred beasts? Dream on. It's your bad luck to run into me. Be obedient and become my battle achievements. The near, ancient sacred beasts of the elemental race laughed happily. He casually released his space domain, which instantly covered a radius of 3 light years. This was equivalent to a distance of about 30 trillion kilometers. It easily covered this area. Even within this space domain, countless layers of space folded, forming a space maze corridor. It was easy to imagine how the 3 immortal demon sages, who had not comprehended spatial laws, could escape from such a spatial maze. Even if they exhausted all their strength, they would only get lost in the spatial domain until they exhausted all their magic power and were caught in a trap. Therefore, it was very relaxed now. It was like a cat catching a mouse. Damn it, I can't escape. This space maze is too terrifying. There's no way to escape. One of the immortal sacred beasts had an ugly expression. He now truly felt the terror of a near, ancient sacred beasts. The sacred beast's space domain could immediately distort space and create a space maze. This made a space of 100 million kilometers instantly turn into 10 billion kilometers or even 1 trillion kilometers. Although the immortal sacred beasts were extremely fast, It was impossible to escape such a space maze. It was like catching a turtle in a jar. Why are we so unlucky to encounter an elemental race near ancient sacred beasts? We were already very careful and avoided everywhere, but we still encountered this. The other immortal sacred beast's face turned pale. He regretted so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have taken the risk. He didn't expect to encounter a near ancient sacred beasts. They were a whole realm apart and couldn't fight at all. Although they could rely on their immortal bodies to survive for a period of time, once their magic power was used up, it would be their time of death. Remember the mobile website, Chapter 2368, Unlucky, page 1/1, bookmark for easier reading. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2363, Help, get our race's ancient demon overlords to help. Why aren't any ancient demon overlords here? The remaining undying demon overlords shouted and wanted to ask for help. As long as their demon overlords arrived, they would be able to survive. We sent out a distress signal long ago, but it was useless. Another undying demon overlord gritted his teeth. Our demon race's communication equipment is too backward. It's far from the human race's universe virtual network. It ignores distance and has no delay. We can ask for help instantly. As long as our communication equipment is jammed, we won't be able to send out a distress signal. Obviously, these elemental race bastards used jamming equipment to interfere with our communication. They came prepared. He had an ugly expression. Obviously, these elemental race saints were here to kill the demon overlords. After all, human saints were too difficult to kill. With the universe virtual network, it was difficult to interfere with signals. They could send out distress signals at any time. Sometimes, killing one might lead to a group of them. Who knew who would be killed by then? Therefore, the demon race became the easiest targets. The human race was extremely difficult to deal with. Without absolute confidence, they would not easily provoke them. Damn it, why don't our powerful demon race have technology like the universe virtual network? If we could ask for help, our race's ancient demon overlords would definitely be able to come quickly. We wouldn't have lost so many overlords. An undying demon overlord was extremely envious of the human race's communication network. Although it was just an auxiliary method, one would only know how important communication was in times of war. Especially in the boundless universe, if one could not communicate in time, it meant they were alone. They would never be able to find their comrades, and it would be difficult to get support. Haha, still want to ask for help? Struggle? Dream on. The elemental race, Saint said in disdain. Your demon race is powerful and has a terrifying number. You have the highest number of demon overlords, but your technology is too backward. I've been fighting on Thunder Continent for so long. How can I not have any methods to deal with you demons? Jamming signals is just a normal operation. You are trapped in my space domain. No one can know that you are in trouble. Right now, no one can help you. No matter who you call, it will be useless. Do you understand? Of course, you can also self-destruct. With the power of an undying saint, you might be able to blast open my space domain and let one or two of you escape. I wonder which of you has the courage to do so. It looked at the three undying overlord sinisterly and tried to sow discord. To be honest, self-detonation was the only way the three immortal overlords could threaten a near-ancient sage. Once an immortal overlord self-detonated, the resulting force would definitely heavily injure a near-ancient sage. The problem was that the sages of the ancient era were no fools. If they knew that the other party was going to self-destruct, they could teleport a few light years away with a single thought and completely avoid the explosion. Therefore, while such a method was threatening, there was a limit to it. It was not to the extent that the sages of the ancient times would be afraid to take action. Moreover, they were all undying saints. They all cherished their lives. If it wasn't for the fact that they had no hope, they wouldn't be willing to self-destruct and die together with the enemy. They wouldn't do that unless it was absolutely necessary. Most importantly, there were a total of 3 immortal demon sages. Which of them would be willing to sacrifice themselves and let the other 2 escape? None of them were the kind of people who would sacrifice themselves for others. These words were simply like a thorn in their hearts, and it completely stopped their thoughts of detonating themselves and fighting desperately. Haha, a bunch of stupid indeed. Just a few words made them lose the courage to fight desperately. Seems like they're rookies who haven't been out for long. Seeing this, the near-ancient face saint of the elemental race said proudly, "But if I wasn't lazy to use the whirling disaster poison, these 3 immortal demon sages would have died long ago. It's better to slowly grind them down. There's no need to waste such a treasure." If it had used the whirling disaster poison, it would have killed these 3 immortal demon sages long ago. There was no need to fight slowly. However, even as a near-ancient sage, it was still very poor. After all, although it could obtain more treasures at this realm, it also required a lot of resources. A portion of whirling disaster poison was considered a universe wonder. It was priceless. Even near-ancient sages would feel the pinch and be reluctant to use it. If it could slowly grind these 3 immortal demon sages to death, there would be no need to waste so much money. Damn it! The 3 immortal demon sages were forced to flee. In order to avoid the near-ancient sage of the elemental race and the 2 immortal sages' attacks, they fled frantically and expended their magic power. However, they were like headless flies. They were stuck in this spatial maze and could not escape. As time passed, most of their magic power was consumed. It was difficult for them to maintain their immortal bodies. Even their soul origin was greatly damaged. It's about time. These 3 immortal demon sages' magic power has been mostly consumed. It seems like it's time to kill them. The near-ancient sage of the elemental race was also a sly person. Sensing the situation of the 3 immortal demon sages, he immediately wanted to kill them. He sensed an opportunity to get rid of these 3 immortal demon sages. Die. Spatial slash. The near-ancient sage of the elemental race revealed a cold glint in his eyes. He waved his hand like a blade and condensed a powerful spatial power. He tried to kill the 3 immortal demon sages with one slash. This was a blade radiance condensed with supreme spatial power. Even immortal demon sages could not block it. They had been slashed by this spatial blade radiance several times. If it wasn't for their immortal bodies, they would have died a terrible death. Dong! Just as the near-ancient sage of the elemental race was about to make a move, a divine bird suddenly barged in and landed in front of the near-ancient sage of the elemental race. It emitted a powerful immortal undulation that seemed to distort the void. Who's there? The near-ancient sage of the elemental race and the 2 immortal sages were shocked. They did not expect an enemy to barge in at this moment. They saw a black-clothed young man appear in front of them. He looked like a human, but there seemed to be a pair of dark golden wings that were over 10 meters long growing out of his back. He was quietly burning with flames and emitting powerful immortal undulations. This uninvited guest was a sempiternal realm pinnacle demonic overlord. Without a doubt, he was Xia Ping. He had barged in when the 3 immortal demon sages were about to die. In fact, there was a trick to saving people. If the other party was not in a situation of certain death, the other party might not be very grateful if he came out to save them. However, if they were in a situation of certain death and someone actually appeared to save them at this time, then this kind of gratitude was needless to say. It was simply indescribable. Chapter 2364 F***CK An immortal overlord dares to barge in to save people? Is this a joke? One of the elemental race's immortal overlord immediately sensed Xia Ping's immortal wave. He was speechless. He originally thought that the one who dared to barge in was a near-ancient overlord. For a moment, he felt extremely regretful. He felt that he should have killed the 3 immortal overlords long ago. Otherwise, a near-ancient overlord wouldn't have barged in at this time. But now he wanted to laugh out loud. A puny immortal overlord actually dared to save people in front of a near-ancient overlord. How was this saving people? He was practically sending himself to his death. I was really scared to death just now. I thought we were so unlucky to encounter a near-ancient overlord. Maybe our operation would fail. I didn't expect it to be an immortal overlord. What is this guy trying to do? Even if he thinks his life is too long, he can't just send himself to his death like this. Another elemental race's immortal overlord immediately laughed loudly. Seems like we're really lucky today. Not only did we capture 3 immortal overlords, but there's also a 4th immortal overlord coming to die. This is killing 4 birds with 1 stone. The elemental race's immortal overlord also laughed loudly. He was in a good mood. It was as if he had just won the first prize. Now, he actually won the first prize again. The surprises were endless. The 3 immortal overlords were instantly dumbfounded when they saw this. To be honest, they were extremely happy when Xia Ping barged in. It was as if their prayers had been heard by the heavens. At the crucial moment, a near-ancient overlord was actually sent to save their lives. They were not fated to die today. But when they saw the aura Xia Ping displayed, their faces turned green. This was actually an immortal overlord. To be honest, facing the near-ancient overlord's space domain, even a few more immortal overlords would be useless. Without comprehending the spatial law, it was impossible to escape from this space maze. This guy coming here was just sending himself to his death. There was no other use. Their mood suddenly fell from heaven to hell. No words could describe their feelings at this moment. If they could, they wanted to curse at this guy for being stupid. He clearly knew that he was sending himself to his death, yet he still came. Was he trying to increase the credit for the elemental race? Were they afraid that the elementals hadn't killed enough demon saints? However, they couldn't say such words out loud. After all, the other party had come to save them. How could they speak ill of such a savior? I am the demon saint of the Fire Raven clan. My name is Crow. Xia Ping ignored the thoughts of this group of demon saints and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. You dare to hunt demon saints of my demon race here? This crime is punishable by death. If you leave now, I can still let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, when my demon race's great sage arrives, you will definitely die without a burial place. The prestige of the demon race is not to be blasphemed. Kill your sister. One of the elemental race's undying saint cursed. Demon race is nothing. Do you think we'll lose to you? What a joke. You even said that we'll let bygones be bygones? Is this something a puny, undying demon saint like you can say? If you were a near-ancient demon saint, perhaps we'd be a bit afraid. But you're just an undying demon saint. You dare to be so arrogant in front of us with such strength? To tell you the truth, you're finished today. You'll pay a painful price for your reckless actions. Trying to save people without strength? I'll laugh my teeth off. Another undying demon saint sneered. Foolish demon saint, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Stay here with me. The near-ancient demon saint of the elemental race was even more straightforward. He didn't waste any words and immediately activated his space domain. Terrifying spatial power enveloped the area, wanting to drag Xia Ping into his space maze. Oh no! The 3 undying demon saints' expressions changed drastically. They knew how terrifying near-ancient sages were. If the so-called Crow entered the near-ancient sage's space domain, he wouldn't be able to escape. He would be completely suppressed like them. However, it was impossible for them to stop it. Near-ancient sage's attacks were simply too fast. With just a thought, the space domain could envelop them. There was no way to dodge. Boom! In an instant, the space domain enveloped Xia Ping's body. Tyrannical space force came crushing down from all directions. It was as if the void had turned into a swamp. There were enemies everywhere. It was almost impossible to move. Fire! Xia Ping stood where he was and formed seals with his hands. He activated the golden crow of Hell's bloodline in his body. In an instant, dark golden flames surged out from the 108,000 pores on his body. With his body as the center, the area within 10 million kilometers turned into a sea of fire. Whoosh! This was the golden crow's fire from the golden crow of Hell's bloodline. It was a terrifying flame of extreme yang in the world. There was nothing it couldn't burn. Even the void would collapse from the heat. When the golden crow's fire burned over, The void within a radius of 10 million kilometers was burned to the point of collapse, and tens of thousands of black holes appeared. Even the near-ancient sage's space domain could not suppress such power. At this moment, the entire space domain was filled with holes from the flames. Countless holes appeared. Arg! The near-ancient sage let out a shrill scream. The space domain was equivalent to the essence of his soul. If it was torn apart, it would be the same as tearing his soul apart. He would be heavily injured. The Golden Crow's fire could even burn souls. Even the souls of near-ancient sages could not withstand it. With a thud, the ancient sage immediately removed the space domain on his body. If this continued, his soul might be burned to ashes. He felt pain he had never felt before. He even suffered injuries that he had not experienced in billions of years. Impossible! What kind of flame is this? Even the space domain can't withstand it. It even burned through the void. The two immortal sages of the elemental race were dumbfounded. They could not believe their eyes. Normally, near-ancient sages would have an absolute advantage against immortal sages. However, the terrifying flames emanating from the mysterious crow had severely injured their near-ancient sage. What kind of joke was this? This is our chance. Run. Run quickly. When the three immortal overlords saw this, they were overjoyed. They didn't expect the mysterious crow to be so powerful. With one move, the elemental race's near-ancient sage was severely injured. Even his space domain was burned to the point of collapsing. Without the restraint and suppression of the space domain, they could take the opportunity to escape. Chapter 2365. Brother, thanks. Let's take this opportunity to run. Don't waste time. Yes, let's slip away. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In an instant, the three immortal bee sages were overjoyed. They immediately fled into the distance. Of course, they did not forget to call out to the mysterious crow as they fled. Without his words, they wouldn't have had the chance to escape. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The three immortal overlords were going all out. They burned their blood essence and turned into streams of light that pierced through the void and left quickly. Seeing this, Xiaoping did not continue to attack the near-ancient saint of the elemental race. Instead, he chose to leave with the three great demon saints. His wings fluttered, and he easily blended into the void at an extremely fast speed. After all, his goal this time was not to kill these ancient sages, but to build a good relationship with these immortal overlords and seize the opportunity to enter Heimu City. Damn it, don't run. Don't run if you have the guts. You dare to stab me in the back. What kind of hero are you? Stay here immediately. Seeing this scene, the two great elemental race undying saints were both shocked and furious. This was like a cooked duck flying away. How could they tolerate something like this? They both rushed forward and chased after him. Unfortunately, they were not as fast as the three great demon saints, who had exerted all their strength to display their secret skills of speed. In just a short while, they could no longer detect the auras and traces of those demon saints. Stop chasing. At this time, the near-ancient elemental saint finally recovered. His expression was very gloomy as he stared at the backs of Xiaoping and the other beast saints. But sir, it wasn't easy for us to capture those Yao sages. Now that they've escaped, all our efforts have gone to waste. How are we going to find another opportunity like this in the future? That's right. Those are three immortal overlords. If we kill all of them, we'll gain unimaginable merits. We'll have enough cultivation resources for the next 1,000,000 years. The two elemental immortal demon sages were very indignant. It can't be helped. Who would have thought that the crow would be so terrifying? If I wasn't careful, I would have failed miserably. That elemental race saint gritted his teeth. Looks like I can't underestimate any undying saint in the future. I have to kill them the moment I see them. Otherwise, I won't even know what happens. If it had known that Wu was eyeing them covetously, it would have used the whirling calamity poison to kill the three immortal demon sages a long time ago. Why would it wait until now? Because he was too stingy, he was not willing to use such an artifact, and as a result, all his efforts were in vain. My lord, Exactly what kind of power did we use to actually tear apart Milord's spatial domain? The two undying saints were confused. I'm not sure, but the power of this flame is extremely terrifying. It should be a heavenly flame, and it should be one of the top heavenly flames in the universe. Its power is boundless, and even a space domain can't resist it. If I hadn't withdrawn the space domain in time, I'm afraid I would have been heavily injured by this heavenly flame. It was really dangerous. The ancient sage clenched his fists with lingering fear in his heart. He didn't expect that he would be threatened by an immortal demon sage one day. He almost failed miserably. The two immortal demon sages glanced at each other and didn't know what to say. Even a near ancient sage was so afraid of Wu. One could imagine how terrifying Wu was. Although the attack happened in an instant and didn't last for too long, it also revealed how powerful Wu was. He definitely wasn't someone an ordinary immortal demon sage could compare to. However, they didn't find it strange because this was the mystic zone, a place where countless sages gathered in the universe. No matter how powerful or monstrous a sage was, it wouldn't be strange. This place itself was a place where monsters came out. Wu, I've completely remembered you. Don't let me see you in the Thunder Continent again, or I'll definitely kill you. The near ancient sage of the elemental race gnashed his teeth. He rarely suffered such a huge loss, and because of this loss, he completely remembered Wu from the Fire Crow race. He also had a premonition that as long as Wu didn't die, he would definitely cause endless waves in the Thundersea region. One day later, in another mountain range of the Thunder Continent, the three immortal demon sages ran for a day and a night. They didn't know how far they had run. They only relaxed when they felt that they should have gotten rid of the near ancient sage of the elemental race. All right, let's stop. This place is only a day's journey from our demon race's city, Hymus City. Our race has endless demon sages. Even if the near ancient sage of the elemental race was given a few guts, he wouldn't dare to come here and court death. We should be safe for the time being. There's no need to continue running, said an immortal demon sage at this moment. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you so much, Wu. If it weren't for you, the three of us would definitely have died in the hands of the near ancient sage of the elemental race. We owe you our lives. The three immortal demon sages looked gratefully at Xia Ping, who was standing next to them. If it weren't for this immortal demon sage who suddenly appeared, they would probably have died without a burial place. You're welcome. It was just a small effort. It's not worth mentioning. Xia Ping waved his hand and said modestly. During this day, he had learned some information about the three immortal demon sages. They were the Thunder Tiger race's Demon Sage Bradley, the Water Shark race's Demon Sage Heller, and the Blood Wolf race's Immortal Demon Sage Jonas. They were all demon sages in a small team. Originally, they had only planned to adventure near Hymus City and search for some treasures. They hadn't expected to be so unlucky as to encounter the near ancient sage of the elemental race and almost get killed. No. It was just a small effort for Wu, but for us, it's a life-saving grace. If you need any help, just let us know. We'll do it without hesitation. The Thunder Tiger race's demon sage Bradley patted his chest with a righteous look on his face. In that case, I do have something that I need your help with. Upon hearing this, Xia Ping didn't stand on ceremony. Actually, this is my first time in the Thundersea region. I'm not familiar with this place at all. I've never entered Hymus City either. May I know what procedures are needed to enter this city? First time here? Brother Wu, have you never interacted with other demon sages before? The Water Shark race's demon sage Heller asked curiously. Indeed, I haven't. My Fire Crow race is located in a remote area and isolated from the world. This is the first time I've left the ancestral land and ventured elsewhere. Xia Ping nodded, indicating that he was a rookie. I see. The three immortal demon sages nodded in unison and came to a sudden realization. No wonder this guy was so rash and dared to help even when he saw near ancient sages. It turned out that he was inexperienced. If he were a wily old fox, he wouldn't have helped them. He probably wouldn't have even looked at them and let them die. Chapter 2366. In fact, Bradley, and the other immortal demon sages did not doubt Xiaoping's words. After all, such a situation was very common in the universe. Although many demon sages were born in the headquarters of the demon race and were trained by the huge resources of the demon race, it did not mean that they did not have unorthodox methods. It was just like how there were many primitive planets in the boundless territory of the human race. These planets were also inhabited by a large number of humans who had never come into contact with other humans in the universe. These humans were indigenous humans. Furthermore, the demon race was in the same situation. Many demons lived in isolated places. They did not have any contact with the demon race's headquarters, nor did they have any connection. They were all indigenous demons. However, such indigenous demons would occasionally give birth to some geniuses. It was not strange for some demon sages to appear. They would naturally accept these indigenous demon sages. After all, they were all members of the demon race and needed to fight with other races all the time. Of course, the more helpers they had, the better. At this moment, they were secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, this crow had not been deeply involved in the world and had not been contaminated by society. He still knew what it meant to stand up for a just cause. Otherwise, they might really be dead today. Don't worry about that. Water, Shark Demon Sage Heller patted his chest. Our demon race is all-inclusive. As long as you're a member of the demon race, you can join us. There will be no exclusion. Not to mention, given your strength, once you join our demon temple, you will probably immediately become a demon sage who will receive countless resources. Demon temple? Upon hearing this, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He had also learned from the intelligence of the human race that the so-called demon temple was a super organization where many demon sages of the demon race gathered. It was equivalent to an organization that was responsible for governing the entire demon race. Even the powerful divine artifact demon temple that Tu Linglong and Qing Wan received was created by the powerful figures of the demon race. It was scattered all over the universe and specially responsible for nurturing demon race geniuses. Can anyone join the demon race? Xiaoping asked curiously. In fact, the demon race was a collective name. It was a super race formed by the union of various small and large races. Therefore, the demon race was all-inclusive and had countless races. It was the most complex of the top races. In the beginning, some of the king races of the demon race united and ruled over countless vassal races. Finally, the name demon race was formed. Therefore, the races of the demon race were extremely complicated. Most races could call themselves the demon race. Not really. The Blood Wolf race's immortal Fey, Sage, Jonas, shook his head. Some peak races like the human race, elemental race, automaton race, insectoid race, dragon race, and other races are absolutely not allowed to join the Fey race. If any living being was found to have the bloodline of these peak races, they would be expelled from the demon race and would never be treated as a member of the demon race. However, other than these peak clans, the other weaker clans, as long as they are willing to call themselves the demon clan, they can naturally join and become one of the demon clan. I see. Xiaoping nodded. He finally understood a little about the structure of the demon race. It was precisely because of the unique characteristics of the demon race that any weak race could call themselves a member of the demon race. They could join and become a member of the demon race. This also made the demon race the race with the largest number of peak races. It could be said that they had the most demon saints. However, it was also because of this that there were too many races, which led to the internal conflicts of the demon race. Sometimes, the internal conflicts within the demon race were even more serious than the conflicts between the other peak races. After all, it was very difficult to coordinate the interests of so many races. If one party gained benefits, the other party would definitely suffer losses. Therefore, although the demon race had the most sages, in fact, because they were not united enough, their overall combat strength was the weakest. They were at a disadvantage in most battles. Another day passed. Xiaoping, Bradley, and the other immortal demon saints finally arrived at Heimu's city. This is Heimu's city. Xiaoping looked up and saw a towering city in the distance. A city wall stretched across the wilderness like a giant dragon. It stretched for at least hundreds of light years. This city wall was completely made of black rocks. It emitted a rough, wild, simple, bloody aura and other auras. It was different from the sci-fi style of the human race. It was purely the most primitive and rough style. It was as if nothing had changed since the primordial era. It revealed pure violence and primitive nature, as if it was a building from the tribal era. However, this city wall was also engraved with densely packed restriction arrays. Extremely complicated nomological patterns appeared and resonated with the origins of the universe. It could be said that this city's defensive strength was not inferior to the human race's Thunder City. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, many demon sages were also entering and leaving Haymu City. The city gate was extremely tall. It was hundreds of thousands of feet tall and could accommodate any universe behemoth. There are so many demon sages. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He saw many demon sages entering and leaving the city gate. At a glance, there were at least 10,000 demon sages. Most of them were immortal demon saints. However, a considerable number of them were ancient demon sages. Even one or two medieval demon sages would occasionally appear. It could only be said that the demon race was indeed a peak race with the most sages. The liveliness of this city was probably far greater than that of the human race's Thunder City. There are also many people. Very soon, under the lead of Bradley and the other demon sages, Xiaoping arrived at the city gate of Haymu City. A vast empty space appeared in front of him. It was like a wilderness. Many demon sages were on this square and were being tested by Haymu City. Rumble. In an instant, an enormous black and white eyeball appeared in the sky above the square. This eyeball was extremely huge like a planet, and the depths of its pupil contained dense markings of the laws. It was unfathomable. What's that? Xiaoping instinctively sensed that this eyeball contained formidable energy and a deep sense of threat. That's a peerless saint artifact of my demon race. The Last Day's Eye, Bradley explained. This saint artifact is capable of seeing through the secrets of the souls of all living beings in the universe. Even primeval saints are unable to conceal themselves before the Last Day's Eye. Every time we enter and leave Haymu City, we'll be detected by the Last Day's Eye, and any enemy that tries to enter Haymu City will be discovered by the Last Day's Eye. Practically no mishaps have occurred throughout the years. The Last Day's Eye. When he heard this, Xiaoping finally understood why the demon race didn't possess top-rate technology like the human race. Yet so few enemies were able to invade Haymu City. So it was because of the Last Day's Eye. A peerless saint artifact like this contained the complete laws of the universe, and its profundities were something that most technology couldn't compare to. Chapter 2367. But a peerless saint artifact should be very precious, right? Even if it's the demon race, such a magic treasure can be considered as a clan-guarding magic treasure. Why has it appeared in Haymu City? Asked Xiaoping curiously. Even amongst the peak races, peerless saint artifacts could be considered as extremely precious magic treasures. They wouldn't appear easily, and they would be strictly protected by numerous saints. On the other hand, the Sea of Lightning could only be considered as an ordinary place in the mystic zones, so it was truly too extravagant for such a place to be protected by a peerless saint artifact. Huh, Brother Wu, that eyeball in the sky isn't the real Eye of the Last Days. In fact, it's merely a projection of the Eye of the Last Days. The real Eye of the Last Days is being protected within the headquarters of the demon race. When he heard this, the eternal demon saint of the Water Shark clan, Heller, roared with laughter. Actually, this clone projection was created by an invincible demon saint of my clan who utilized the supreme divine ability to circulate the energy of the Last Day's Eye and project it into every single city of my demon race in the mystic zones. Thanks to the energy of these projections, every single city of my demon race in the mystic zones is being monitored and protected by the Last Day's Eye, and no enemies are able to enter with ease. Clone projection? Xiaoping even exclaimed with admiration at how formidable the peerless saint artifact, the Last Day's Eye, was. It was actually capable of splitting into a myriad of projections and radiating its energy to every single corner of the mystic zones. This obviously showed how formidable the Last Days Eye was. Such a magic treasure could be considered as a clan guarding magic treasure, and it was peerlessly formidable. It was probably on par with the illusion race's peerless saint artifact, the illusory nightmare pearl, and it might even be more formidable to a certain extent. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, the black and white eyeball in the sky spun lightly, and then a strand of mysterious and formidable energy instantly descended and completely enveloped the square and every single demon saint. On the other hand, Xiaoping instantly sensed a formidable and mysterious gaze sweeping down from above him, and it penetrated every single corner of his body. Even his spatial ring was unable to escape this gaze. It was like all his secrets had been exposed at this moment. He was completely naked, and he had no privacy at all. Even if he wanted to conceal it, it would probably be impossible to conceal it from this eye. At this moment, he was very thankful that he had the foresight to not bring any treasures into Heimu City. Otherwise, who knew how many of his secrets would have been leaked? Xiaoping wasn't worried that the Eye of the Last Days would be able to see through his identity as a human. Because the profundities of the Grand Origin clone technique far exceeded the Eye of the Last Days' imagination. This clone of his was actually the body of a demon, and even its soul was the soul of a demon. Therefore, he wasn't too worried. At this moment, a mechanical voice rang out from the sky above the square. It seemed to resonate with the void and spread to every corner of the square. Beep! 13,456 people have been tested. No dangerous items are hidden. 13,400 people have the token of the demonic temple. 56 people don't have the token of the demonic temple. Invincible against race invasion. Safe. No one is carrying any dangerous items. Safe. Safe passage. Examination complete. You may now open the city gate. Hearing these words, all the demon sages present heaved a sigh of relief. Bradley and the other demon saints heaved sighs of relief as well, and they felt much more relaxed as they looked at Xiaoping. Even though they felt that it was impossible for Xiaoping to be from an enemy race, they still had many misgivings since he hadn't been tested by the Eye of the Last Days. Now that he'd been verified by the Eye of the Last Days, he was one of them, and they didn't have to worry about anything. Xiaoping felt much more relaxed as well. Sure enough, I've passed the Eye of the Last Days examination. Looks like I'll be able to safely enter Heimu City this time. However, he was still slightly worried before everything was over. Rumble. Meanwhile, an enormous white door of light instantly appeared in front of the square. It was a spatial door. Supposedly, this door was extremely far away from Heimu City, and it was separated by countless layers of folded space. If one didn't pass through this spatial door, then it was practically impossible to arrive at Heimu City. This was one of the defensive measures of Heimu City. Once enemies invaded, then so long as they couldn't pass through this spatial door, then they would be able to keep the enemies outside the city. Swoosh! Swoosh! When they saw the white door of light appear, all the demon saints who were already familiar with it entered the white door of light one after another. As for Xiaoping and the others, they didn't hesitate to step into it. In an instant, a wave of spatial changes occurred. Xiaoping felt as if he'd passed through countless layers of folded space, and then he instantly appeared in another space. So, this is the interior of Heimu City? Xiaoping opened his eyes and looked at Heimu City. The city was extremely huge, and it simply stretched as far as the eye could see. Numerous lofty and ancient buildings stood towering on both sides of the road. They seemed extremely wild and primitive, as if they were purely formed from enormous black rocks that weighed a few tens of tons. They were enormous, hard, and indestructible. These buildings weren't built for the sake of beauty, but for the sake of war. Even if enemies invaded, so long as they hid within these buildings, then they would be able to resist for a period of time. It could be said that every single building was equivalent to a fortress of war. Brother Wu. At this time, Thunder Tiger Race's demon Saint Bradley said to Xiaoping, Every demon saint who enters Heimu City has to go to the sacred demon temple for the first time to obtain their token. This is equivalent to identity verification. As long as you have this token of the sacred demon temple, Brother Wu, you will be a member of the demon race. You will be able to go to any demon race city in the mystic area without any obstructions. You won't need to go through the strict test like before. Then where can I get this token? Xiaoping asked. He looked at Bradley. Since there was such a way to easily integrate into the demon race, he naturally wouldn't let this opportunity slip by. Follow me. The Demon Saint Temple is in the center of Heim City. It's the biggest building and the real headquarters of Heim City. It's said that the real top demon saints of Heim City cultivate and live there. Even the medieval demon saint often appears there, said the demon saint. Water Shark Race's immortal demon, Saint Heller, volunteered to bring Xia Ping to the sacred demon temple in Heimu City. I'll have to trouble you with that. Xia Ping nodded. His eyes gleamed. The sacred demon temple was probably the highest administrative center of the demon race in Heimu City. It was also a place where countless powerful demon saints gathered. If he approached the sacred demon temple, he might be able to find some clues about the demon race. Perhaps this was a great opportunity to find out the secrets of Heimu City. This was something he couldn't miss. Whoosh! Next, Heller and the other two immortal demon saints brought Xia Ping to the sacred demon temple in Heimu City. Chapter 2368. Heim City, Demon Saint Hall. This was a huge palace located in the center of Heim City. It covered an area of at least tens of millions of kilometers. It was like a super behemoth of the universe lying in the center of the city. There were even huge space-time wormholes around the palace, which seemed to be connected to an unknown distant place. Battleships flew out of the wormholes, and a large number of resources entered and exited the palace. It could be said that this place was the cargo center of Heim City. This palace could also be considered as the administrative center. There were many departments that were divided into different locations. There were also powerful restrictive spells and formations everywhere. Even sages who had reached the Middle Ancient Realm could not behave atrociously in this place. Otherwise, they would be completely confined by the restrictive arrays and turned into ashes. There were even powerful demon sages hidden in every corner of this palace. This place was the most heavily guarded forbidden area in Heim City. At this moment, Xia Ping followed Bradley and the other immortal demon sages to the Demon Saint Hall. Xia Ping's heart jumped when he just arrived at this majestic and powerful ancient palace. It seemed that a trace of power deep in his soul had formed a connection with this palace. There was a familiar feeling. This is the aura of the primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Xia Ping immediately sensed the aura of many primordial heavenly dragon talismans in the depths of the Demon Saint Hall, as he had refined dozens of them. He was extremely sensitive to the aura of the primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Even though the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were beside his body, he could still sense the primordial heavenly dragon talismans on him through the spiritual connection. This was an instinctive reaction to meeting one of their own. One had to know that there were a total of 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, which represented the power of the 3,000 great Tao of the universe. Because of a battle, they had been scattered all over the universe. No one knew which world or which planet they had appeared in. However, one had to admit that the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were extremely powerful. Every additional primordial heavenly dragon talisman would double its power. The more there were, the more powerful it would be. If all 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were gathered, they could immediately condense a peerless sage artifact. This was a peerless Dharma treasure that could shake the world. Its power was unimaginable. Even if an undying saint wielded a peerless saint artifact, he could still wrestle with the saints of the Middle Ages. From this, one could see how powerful a peerless saint artifact was. It definitely surpassed common sense. Such an intense reaction. It seems like there are many primordial heavenly dragon talismans hidden in the depths of the Demon Sacred Hall. Xiao Ping's eyes lit up. He could sense that there were hundreds of primordial heavenly dragon talismans hidden in the depths of the demon's sacred hall. He had previously tried to find some primordial heavenly dragon talismans, but to no avail. There were no traces of them at all. After all, the primordial sky dragon talisman was extremely precious. Even a single talisman contained infinite power. If the refinement was successful, one would immediately receive the nourishment of the primordial sky dragon's aura. It would strengthen one's bloodline and raise one's natural endowment, bringing endless benefits to oneself. Opportunity. This is definitely a great opportunity. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He felt that if it was possible, he would plunder all the primordial heavenly dragon talismans in the depths of the demon's sacred hall and take them for himself. It would definitely greatly enhance his combat power. Unfortunately, this was the demon's sacred hall, the headquarters of the demon clan in Heimu City. It was the most heavily guarded place in the city. Moreover, there were many powerful demon sages guarding it. He couldn't act rashly. Otherwise, he would definitely die. He suppressed his excitement for the time being. "Brother Wu, what's wrong with you?" Bradley and the other immortal demon sages asked curiously when they saw Xiaoping's expression. "No, I'm just a little excited that I finally have the opportunity to join the demon's sacred hall and become a member of the demon clan." Xiaoping smiled and concealed his emotions calmly. "Haha, Brother Wu, you are too polite. Joining the demon's sacred hall is nothing. With your strength and potential, it's only natural for you to join the demon's sacred hall. Sooner or later, you will become a big shot in the demon's sacred hall. At that time, you might need Brother Wu's help." Bradley and the other immortal demon sages laughed and felt that Wu was really interesting. Before Xiaoping could answer, someone suddenly interrupted. "A big shot in the demon's sacred hall? You must be dreaming. Do you really think that any trash can join the demon's sacred hall? Even if they really join, they will only be small figures at the bottom for the rest of their lives, just like you three losers." "Huh." Xiaoping squinted and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a young man in colorful clothes at the entrance of the demon's sacred hall. He was extremely tall, with a human body and a snake head. He had a long snake tail and a pair of purple horns on his head. He had a pair of purple vertical pupils that emitted a demonic light that seemed to contain a power that could take one's soul away. At the same time, his body emitted spots of starlight, as if thousands of stars were orbiting around his body. Dense lines of the star law appeared on the snake tail, filled with powerful star power. However, the star power was not quiet and peaceful. Instead, it was full of violence, as if it could devour and kill everything. This young man was a demon saint. He was an immortal demon saint who had comprehended the law of space. He had at least reached the middle stage of the immortal ancient realm. Behind this young man stood a dozen followers. They seemed to be members of the Snake Clan. They would spit out their scarlet tongues from time to time, which made people shiver. It seemed that they would attack at any time. Their strength had also reached the peak of the immortal realm. They were no weaker than Bradley and the other immortal demon saints. They were even stronger than Bradley to some extent. It seemed that their bloodlines were of a higher level. "Brother Wu, be careful. This fellow is from the Starlight Python clan, the royal clan of our demon race. He was born with the power of the stars, and his bloodline is very rich. This fellow's name is Leopold. He is a famous genius in the Starlight Python clan." At this moment, the immortal demon saint of the Water Shark clan, Heller, sent a voice transmission secretly. "We used to be very familiar with each other. We were even in the same organization. Because of some things, we had a conflict with this guy. As a result, he bore a grudge against us. So, this guy likes to make trouble for us from time to time and taunt us. So, don't pay too much attention to this guy." He said that this Starlight Python Leopold was very narrow-minded. He would take revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if he glared at him or stepped on his foot, he would get his revenge. He was a loathsome guy in Heim City. Unfortunately, he was a member of the Starlight Python clan. No demon saint dared to harm him. Chapter 2369. Leopold, what does our conversation have to do with you? Is bragging against the law in Heimu City? Thunder Tiger Tribe's immortal overlord Bradley suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, Of course not, but don't brag in front of me. Otherwise, I'll be in a very bad mood today. If I'm in a bad mood, you'll be in big trouble. Leopold stood with his hands clasped behind his back and said arrogantly, "You." Bradley gritted his teeth. He knew that Leopold was extremely arrogant and liked to cause trouble, but he didn't expect him to be this domineering. He was too arrogant. However, they were far inferior to him in terms of status and strength, so they could only swallow their anger. "Sorry, Lord Leopold. It's indeed our fault if we caused you to be in a bad mood. We're willing to apologize. If there's nothing else, we'll be entering the demonic divine temple now." Blood Wolf Tribe's immortal overlord Jonas stepped forward. He wanted to take Xiaoping and the others away from this place. He didn't want to have a conflict with the famous hedonistic Leopold here. If there really was a conflict, they would be the unlucky ones. They wouldn't get any benefits. "Wait, did I say you could leave? You want to leave just like that? Who do you think I am? You don't give me any face? Are you trying to provoke me?" Leopold snorted and stared at Xiaoping and the others. More than a dozen of its subordinates stood up and blocked Xiaoping and the others. "Lord Leopold, what are you trying to do? In Heimu City, no demonic divine overlords are allowed to fight without reason. Otherwise, they'll be imprisoned or even executed on the spot. You didn't forget this rule, did you?" Seeing the other party's actions, Bradari's heart skipped a beat. He immediately brought up the rules of Heimu City to stop the other party. "Of course I didn't forget this rule." Leopold's expression turned serious. Even if he was a member of the royal family, even if he was an ancient demonic overlord, he would still be executed if he broke the rules. "However, I didn't intend to fight. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I remember that you sent a distress signal, saying that you were ambushed by the elemental races near Ancient Sage. I thought you were dead for sure. I didn't expect you to come back alive. What exactly happened in the process? How did you come back alive?" Leopold asked casually. Upon hearing that, Bradley and the other immortal demon sage's expressions turned ugly. According to what this fellow meant, he clearly believed that the three of them were doomed and had no hope of survival. They were not surprised that Leopold knew about this, because such a distress signal would be sent out over a wide area, and all the demon saints nearby would receive such a signal. So it was not impossible for Leopold to receive their distress signal. "That has nothing to do with you. How we survive is our own business." Bradbury was very stubborn and did not want to answer the question. "Fools, do you think you can hide anything? That's why you had the chance to escape from the hands of the elemental race's ancient saints. Tell me, is my information correct or not? Since you already know, why are you still asking?" The hearts of Bradley and the other demon saints sank. They had a vague feeling that something was wrong. "Hee. I only asked because I wanted to see if all of you were being honest. I didn't expect that all of you were trying to play dumb. However, trash like you're not qualified to enter my eyes." Leopold fixed his eyes on Xiaoping and said, "You're Wu, the one who saved the three good-for-nothings in Bradbury, aren't you? Judging from the way you entered the demon temple for the first time, you should be a native of the demon clan. You haven't been in contact with the demon temple before, right?" It asked, but it didn't seem to want Xiaoping to answer. A native demon without the resources of the demon divine temple was able to become an immortal demon overlord by himself. That's quite impressive. However, the most impressive thing is that you're only an immortal demon overlord, but you've mastered a kind of power that even the ancient saints can't do anything about. Looking at the entire demon clan, there aren't many demon overlords like you who can fight against ancient saints as an immortal demon overlord. You flatter me. It's just a coincidence," Xiaoping said modestly. "I don't care if it's a coincidence or you have ulterior motives. Tell me your secret. What method did you use to fight against a near-ancient saint? Did you get some powerful universal secret treasure that gave you such an ability?" Leopold stared at Xiaoping with his purple eyes, which seemed to emit a strange gaze. It seemed as if he wanted to see through Xiaoping's body and find out the secret within. He suspected that Wu might have gotten some powerful and mysterious universal secret treasure. That was why he could rise from a native demon to the level of an immortal demon overlord. If he could get such a secret treasure, wouldn't he be able to ascend to the heavens? "You're worrying too much. The reason why I could tear apart the space domain of a near-ancient saint was purely because I accidentally swallowed and refined a type of heavenly flame. I fused it into my body and changed and purified my bloodline. This is the power of my bloodline ability. There's no secret treasure, Xiaoping said indifferently. Bullsh asterisk T, you still dare to lie. Leopold shouted angrily and stared at Xiaoping. If you have the guts, do you dare to let me search your body? I'll carefully check what kind of magic treasure you have on you. If not, then I'll believe you. Leopold, what's the meaning of this? Are you treating Brother Wu as an enemy of the demon clan and trying to extort a confession? Thunder Tiger Race's immortal Saint Bradley shouted angrily. How could this Leopold think of searching Brother Wu's body? He was treating Brother Wu like a criminal. All demon overlords are equal. You're a royal, but you don't have the right to search an immortal demon overlord's body. Who do you think you are? A king of the demon Saint Temple? Do you need to believe me? So what if you don't believe me? Water Shark Race's immortal demon Overlord Heller was also furious. This was an extremely absurd behavior. That's right. So what if Brother Wu has a secret treasure? It's none of your business. Why would he need to be searched by you? You've also obtained a fortuitous encounter. So shouldn't you also hand over your own secret treasure? This is simply absurd. Leopold, don't be too arrogant. Hum City isn't a place where you can make decisions. Blood Wolf Race's immortal demon Overlord Jonas sneered. Chapter 2370. Interesting. You're just 3 good-for-nothings. How dare you talk to me like this? It seems that if I don't show my power, you'll really think that I'm weak and easy to bully. Hearing this, Leopold's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he could not help but emit terrifying killing intent. You, Bradley, and the other immortal demon saints felt a chill in their hearts. At this moment, they finally calmed down. They suddenly remembered that Leopold was a Starlight Python, a member of the royal family, and a demon saint from the near-ancient era. Even if it couldn't do anything to them in Heimu City, it had plenty of chances to do something to them in the wild and kill them all. In fact, this had happened before. The demon race could be said to be the most disunited race. More often than not, some demon saints would die among their own people. Woo! Leopold ignored Bradley and stared at Xiaoping. I advise you to know what propriety is. Treasures are innocent, but treasures are the source of trouble. A true universe treasure is not something a little immortal demon saint like you, who has no background, can possess. If you hand over your treasures to me, I'll guarantee with the reputation of the Starlight Python race that you'll never be able to enjoy wealth for the rest of your life. I can even let you become a servant of the Starlight Python race. This is an honor that countless races yearn for but can't obtain. I hope you can cherish it. Scram! Xiaoping looked at Leopold and sneered. What bullsh asterisk T Starlight Python race? Do you think you can scare me with just a few words? You're dreaming, let alone the fact that I don't have a so-called universe treasure. So what if I do? Do you think I'll hand it over with just a few words? Who do you think you are? It's not like I've never seen a near-ancient era demon saint like you. It's not like I haven't fought with you. I've even personally killed some of them. Who do you think you are? How dare you be so insolent in front of me? What? The pupils of Leopold and the other demon saints contracted. They never thought that Wu would be so arrogant and refute them. He did not take them seriously at all. No, not only did he not take them seriously, but he was also slapping them in the face in public. Bradari's heart skipped a beat. Saying these words was basically offending Leopold and the other Starlight Pythons. There was no room for reconciliation at all. What's wrong? You're still not convinced? Xiaoping clasped his hands behind his back and said, So what if you're from the Royal Starlight Python clan of the demon race? Even if you're from the Royal Starlight Python clan, it's not like there aren't any who have fallen. Don't think that your Starlight Python clan can maintain a stable position as the royal clan. Sooner or later, there will be a day when you will decline and be pulled down from the altar by other clans. You will die a tragic death. Bastard, how dare you humiliate my Starlight Python clan? You're courting death. You're courting death. You want our Starlight Python race to fall into decline? You are truly despicable. How dare you curse my Starlight Python clan? Do you know how serious of a crime that is? Kneel down and apologize immediately. Otherwise, I will exterminate your entire clan and all the native monsters around you. I will kill the chicken to scare the monkey." Before Leopold could speak, the dozen or so immortal demon sages behind him could not take it anymore. Their faces turned red, and they wanted to immediately attack and beat Xiaoping half to death. "Exterminate my 9 generations? If you have the guts, let's have a match right now. Stop wasting time." Xiaoping gave him a sidelong glance, unmoved. "You." The Starlight Pythons were so infuriated that they almost could not control their temper and wanted to rush forward. Boom! However, at this moment, a terrifying aura came from afar. Apparently, a medieval demon sage had returned to Heimu City and arrived at the Demon Saint Palace. An invisible space-time realm enveloped this area. All the Starlight Pythons, including Leopold, immediately calmed down. Even though this aura was not targeted at them, the invisible space-time realm could still easily suppress all the demon sages. "What's wrong? Why are you so tense in the Demon Saint Palace? Do you want to have a duel in Heimu City and break the rules of Heimu City?" With a swish, a medieval demon sage descended in the air and looked dignified. Elder Zerom. Seeing the arrival of the medieval demon sage, all the Starlight Pythons, Bradley, and the other immortal demon sages were startled. They immediately greeted him respectfully. Obviously, this medieval demon sage was highly respected and was very famous in Heimu City. "Who's this?" Xiaoping seized the chance to ask Bradley, using his spiritual sense. "Crow, you must be respectful to him. He is an elder of our Demon Saint Temple and also one of the top 10 powerful demon saints of the Middle Ages in Heimu City. He has comprehended the law of time and has a high status. He is usually the most impartial and strict one and is deeply trusted by many demon saints. As long as he gives an order, even if you're from the royal family, you would not be able to stay in Heimu City anymore." Braderi was afraid that Xiaoping would neglect this elder of the demon temple, so he hurriedly told Xiaoping about him, saying that he was a big shot in Heimu City. "I see." Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that this medieval demon sage's qi was very powerful. It seemed to be even more powerful than that of Elder Weiss, the medieval demon that he had met before. Of course, it was not so powerful that he could not resist it. It was just a bit more powerful. "Oh, this is a great opportunity." At this moment, Zhang Tai's heart was pounding. If this medieval demon sage was a big shot in Heimu City, he must have access to the top secrets of Heimu City. He might know the real reason for the recent changes in Heavenly Demon Tribe. "I have to monitor this Zerom." Zhang Tai made up his mind. If Bradley and the other immortal demon sages knew Xiaoping's thoughts, they would definitely be scared to death. How could an immortal demon sage want to monitor the medieval demon sage? Wasn't it like an ant challenging a divine dragon? It was absolutely audacious and reckless. Even if he wanted to die, he would not do it in this way. However, Xiaoping was confident. Although he didn't have any magic equipment, he could mobilize the power of the Book of Karma from hell by virtue of the karma force of the Book of Karma. After that, he attached a strand of the karma force to the medieval demon sage by the power of the Book of Karma. In this way, the latter's every move would be under his control. Facing the mysterious power of karma, even the medieval demon sage could not sense it. This was the difference in the nature of the power. "Elder Zerom, you've misunderstood." At this moment, Leopold Skin hurriedly lowered his head and said, "In fact, we are very friendly and enthusiastic towards this new immortal demon sage. We just want to have a private spar with it to verify our comprehension of laws. Furthermore, this will be of great benefit to this brother. He might be able to take advantage of this opportunity to comprehend the laws of space and step into the realm of a near-ancient demon sage." He indicated that he did not want to have a conflict with Xiaoping, but merely wanted to have a friendly spar. This was because he did not want to cause any trouble in front of the famous medieval demon sage of Heimu City. Chapter 2371. Hearing these words, Zerom's look eased a lot as he nodded and said, in this case, you'd better watch out. Don't make trouble in front of the sacred demon saint palace. Otherwise, Nobody can save you. He then stared at Leopold and the other starlight pythons and Xia Ping as a warning. The reason why he warned Zeram was that he couldn't allow these demon saints to break the rules of Heimu City as an elder of the Demon Saint Palace. Besides, he also couldn't allow these demon saints to break the rules of Heimu City. During this period of time, no conflict was allowed among the Demon Saint Palace. Otherwise, nobody could bear the responsibility of ruining the plan of Heimu City, which had lasted hundreds of millions of years. Of course, Zeram, we all know that we will never make trouble in Heimu City. None of us dares to break the rules of Heimu City. Leopold replied immediately as he showed a law-abiding look. Not bad. It's good that you know the stakes. I have something else to deal with. You can leave now. Don't make trouble here. If you make trouble, I'll teach you a lesson. After leaving these words, Zeram flew into the Demon Saint Palace as if he had something important to deal with and didn't want to waste his time on such a trivial matter. Seeing Zeram leave, the other starlight pythons let out a sigh of relief. It was too stressful to face a demon saint who had comprehended the law of time. Even though they had reached the immortal realm, there was still a huge gap between them and the demon saint of the Middle Ages, which couldn't be measured by numbers. If an analogy had to be used, the immortal demon saints were just common soldiers. However, the demon saint of the Middle Ages could be regarded as a general who could rule a region. You're lucky that Zeram happened to pass by this place. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble. You should thank your luck. Before Leopold and the other starlight pythons could say anything, Xiaoping had opened his mouth as if they were lucky. F***CK. Hearing this, Leopold and the other starlight pythons were driven mad as their faces turned red. They should be the ones to say that. Since when did this brat have the right to say that? How could a mere immortal demon sage say that? He was too thick-skinned. They had more than a dozen peak of immortal realm demonic saints. There was even a near-ancient demonic saint who had comprehended space law. No matter how they looked at it, they had the strength to beat up this group of losers. They were lucky. Additionally, this guy was so shameless to say that if Elder Zeram didn't come here, they would be in trouble. How shameless was he to say such a thing? It was the first time they had seen such a monster. Let's go. Let's not bother with this bunch of trash from the royal family. They are a disgrace to the royal family. Talking to them is just a waste of time and air. Xiaoping waved his hand and walked into the Demon Saint Temple with Bradley and the other immortal overlords, whose faces were twitching and speechless. Those starlight pythons were infuriated. However, they were stopped by Leopold. They could only watch the arrogant Xiaoping swaggering into the Demon Saint Temple until Xiaoping's figure disappeared in front of them. Leopold had to stop Elder Zeram, because Zeram had just left for a short while. If he made a move now, he would definitely arouse the fury of Elder Zeram, which was like slapping the face of a medieval demon sage. That was an earth-shattering thing. No matter how angry they were, they couldn't slap Elder Zeram's face here and break the rules of Heimu City. Otherwise, they would all be doomed. They even felt that Wu Jubi had said those words on purpose in order to irritate them and make them lose their senses. Then, they would break the rules of Heimu City. Undoubtedly, this bastard Wu Jubi was a sinister and cunning guy. F***CK. I can't stand this bastard for even 1 second. If not Elder Zeram's sudden appearance, I would have long chopped him into pieces. How could he be so arrogant? How dare he say that we are lucky? I didn't realize that this bastard was so thick-skinned. Could it be that this bastard really thinks that he is capable enough to deal with our Starlight Python clan? Kill it. We must kill this damned, blazing raven. There has never been a trash race that could flaunt their prowess in front of our Starlight Python tribe and come out unscathed. That's right. Given his words that humiliated our Starlight Pythons, he should be sentenced to death. Nobody can save him. Anyone who tries to save him will die. Die. Those immortal Starlight Pythons gritted their teeth. They had not been so angry for hundreds of millions of years. They couldn't wait to skin this so-called fiery crow alive. They expressed that if Leopold didn't stop them, they would have long torn that fiery crow apart. Don't worry, Leopold sneered. Don't fall for that brat's trick. The reason why he said those words was to infuriate us and make us lose our rationality. Then, we would start a fight in Hamu City and break the rules here. By then, he would pretend to be weak and blame us. Even though our starlight pythons are royal families with high status and great power, we can't escape punishment. He had seen through that brat's sinister purpose. My lord, I know that Brad is despicable, shameless, and extremely sinister. But can we just watch as he continues to live a carefree and happy life? We can't bear it. All the starlight pythons clenched their fists. Don't worry. Leopold's eyes revealed a strand of cold light. He's just a local monster without any background. This brat doesn't have any backing in the Demon Saint Palace. Even if he dies, no Demon Saint would know about it, and no Demon Saint would stand up for him. A local monster like him managed to advance to the immortal realm with great difficulty with a little fortuitous encounter. But if he thinks that he can show off in the Demon Saint Palace and look down on the dignity of our royal families, he's dreaming. Of course, we can't kill him in Hamu City. After all, we can't break the rules of Hamu City. But it's different when we leave Hamu City. There are no rules in the wild. It indicated that they couldn't kill him in Hamu City, but they could kill him in the wild. No matter how strict the rules of Hamu City were, they couldn't control the boundless wild. But what if this brat keeps staying in Hamu City? Doesn't that mean we won't stand a chance? A starlight python raised its doubt. What's the hurry? It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. So what if we let him live a little longer? We don't lack time. As long as he leaves Hamu City, he'll die. I don't believe that he won't leave the city for the rest of his life. There will be a good opportunity. Endless killing intent rose in Leopold's heart. He had made Xiaoping a target he must kill. Pythons were one of the most vengeful creatures. As long as someone offended them, they would never forget it. They would always look for opportunities to take revenge. Chapter 2372. 2 hours later, Xiaoping smoothly obtained the token from the Demon Temple and finally had a legal identity. He was no longer an unregistered resident and could freely enter and exit the major cities of the demon race without worrying about being killed as a spy. Congratulations, Brother Wu. You've finally become a member of our Demon Temple. The Thunder Tiger clan's immortal demon sage, Bradley, congratulated him. Unfortunately, we've offended Leopold this time. According to that guy's vengeful character, I'm afraid he won't let you off. He might take revenge at any time. The Watershar clan's Heller was a little worried. That's right. Brother Wu, you shouldn't have been so impulsive. As the saying goes, take a step back and you'll see the world. Demon sages with no background like us can't beat those royal demon sages. The Blood Wolf clan's Jonas said helplessly, if we endure, will he let us off? That guy is clearly standing on our heads and won't give up until he achieves his goal. Unless we kowtow and apologize, he won't let us off. Xiaoping said indifferently. Hearing this, Bradley and the other demon sages had to admit that Xiaoping was right. Just now, Leopold came aggressively because he was sure that Xiaoping had a mysterious treasure on him. That was why he came to rob him. He was simply unscrupulous. Unless he really handed over all his treasures, there was no way the other party would let him off so easily. Therefore, such a conflict was unavoidable. Whether they surrendered or endured, they couldn't make the other party give up. It was like an ordinary villager encountering bandits. Would the bandits give up if they surrendered? What a joke. If bandits gave up so easily, they wouldn't be bandits. For villains, forbearance would only make them want more. Indeed, now we can only take it one step at a time. As long as we stay in Hamu City, Leopold and the others can't do anything to us. Bradley and the other immortal demon sages nodded helplessly. Forget it. I haven't found a place to stay in Hamu City yet. Where should I stay? Xiaoping wanted to find a place to stay in Hamu City. That's easy, Bradley said. I have a manor in Hamu City that occupies a large area. You can temporarily stay there as a temporary lodging. Brother Wu, it won't be too late to move out once you have a better understanding of Hamu City. Then I shall respectfully accept. Xiaoping didn't refuse and directly planned to live in Bradley's manor. There's no need to be so polite. We're all brothers now. This is just a small matter. Bradbury laughed out loud. Huh. All of a sudden, Xiaoping's heart raced as he realized that what he had done to Zeram finally worked. Zeram seemed to have entered the deepest part of the Demon Saint Palace, which was the core place. Except for the elders of Heimu City, no other monsters could enter it. Even human hands and feet couldn't enter it. However, with the power of the Karma Book, he could easily attach to Zeram's body and pry into the secrets of the Demon God Palace. At this moment, inside the Demon Saint Palace, Zeram, the demon sage of the Middle Ages, was familiar with driving. After passing through layers of space-time restraints and thousands of dimensional spaces, he finally arrived at the deepest part of the Demon Sage Palace and appeared in front of an altar. This sacrificial altar was extremely large, covering tens of thousands of square kilometers. It was engraved with mysterious patterns of universal laws, which seemed to resonate with this space-time. Tens of thousands of dimensional spaces appeared in the surroundings. Huge energy flowed out of these dimensional spaces and poured into the depths of the sacrificial altar, which was then devoured and absorbed by the sacrificial altar. Over 10 powerful demon sages appeared around the sacrificial altar. All of them had reached the Middle Ancient Realm and had comprehended the law of time. They were giving off the power and chi that could distort the space-time. These demon sages were covered with powerful space-time strength. Therefore, their original looks couldn't be seen clearly. Most astounding of all was that a primordial heavenly dragon had appeared in the sky above the altar. It shook its head and wagged its tail, and its entire body emitted a golden glow. It was suffused with a divine, powerful, and mighty aura that contained boundless dragon might. It was constantly swallowing the energy that flowed out from thousands of dimensions, and it seemed that every time it swallowed, its body would grow a little stronger and its power would become more tyrannical. Dense nomological patterns appeared in every corner of its body. It seemed that this primordial heavenly dragon itself was the amalgamation of universal laws. It was so powerful that a slight movement of it could shatter the space-time within thousands of light years. No way. There are so many primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Xiaoping easily saw through this place through Zeram's eyes of karma, which were attached to the Middle Ancient Demon Sage. It was like observing a lower dimensional space from a higher dimensional space. No demon sage could detect anything. He immediately recognized that this primordial heavenly dragon was the amalgamation of primordial heavenly dragon talismans. The interior of the primordial sky dragon contained a dense number of primordial sky dragon talismans. Combined together, there were more than 2,000 of them, nearing 3,000. No, it should be said that apart from the 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, all the other primordial heavenly dragon talismans had appeared in this sacrificial altar. It was simply unimaginable. Back then, the 46 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were already immensely powerful. Now that more than 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were gathered together, the power was so powerful that it could almost tear through the heavens and earth. If the dozens of primordial heavenly dragon talismans fell into this sacrificial altar, they would instantly form 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, turning into a truly flawless, peerless, sacred weapon. Opportunity. This is indeed an incomparable opportunity. Xiaoping felt his heart beating intensely. Back then, Titania, the scientist of the Dragon Clan, had used this peerless, sacred weapon to tear through the heavens and earth. She was unrivaled among the sages, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. It could be said that the amalgamation of 3,000 talismans represented the power of 3,000 laws. A primordial heavenly dragon ruled over 3,000 laws, and the combat power it could unleash was unparalleled. If not for the many invincible sages joining forces and even using divine artifacts to shatter the primordial heavenly dragon talismans and scatter them across the universe, they probably wouldn't have been able to do a thing to Titania. It was obvious how terrifying the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were at their peak. They could devour the heavens and earth. If he could obtain these 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, he could immediately increase his combat power by dozens of times. Although he seemed to have divine artifact-level samsara brush, Book of Karma, etc., there were divine artifacts that had been sealed and could not unleash their full power. They were temporarily unable to be compared to a peerless sacred weapon at its peak. Therefore, obtaining the remaining 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans was a great opportunity for him. It could definitely greatly increase his strength. Chapter 2373. Calm down, you must calm down now. Xiao Pingon suppressed his excitement. It was almost impossible to snatch the remaining 2,900 primordial heavenly dragon talismans from the Demon Saint Temple in Heimu City. First of all, the demonic temple's interior was filled with layers of restrictions that were very difficult to break through. Secondly, there were countless experts overseeing the demonic temple. Needless to say, there were countless undying saints and near-ancient saints. In the depths of the altar, there were more than 10 demon sages from the Middle Ages. All of them had comprehended the law of time and grasped the space-time domain. They were extremely powerful. It was probably wishful thinking to snatch the primordial heavenly dragon talisman in front of so many medieval sage demon. Even if they could fight against so many primordial demon sages, the problem was that this was one of the demon race's cities. As long as these demon sages were willing, they could immediately contact the demon race's headquarters and send primordial demon sages or even primordial demon sages to support them. At that time, there would be a lot of trouble. Therefore, he couldn't act rashly. This matter had to be planned out slowly. However, why would there be so many primordial heavenly dragon talismans here? Furthermore, there are more than 2,000 of them. How much effort was put into this? Could it be related to the demon's recent schemes? Xiao Ping instinctively felt that he had discovered the deepest secrets of Heimu City. The recent changes in the demon race must have something to do with these primordial heavenly dragon talismans. After all, the 3,000 primordial sky dragon talismans were scattered across the universe. To gather all of them required an unimaginable amount of effort. The amount of manpower and resources needed would probably be astronomical. Only the demon race, which was rich, powerful, and had a lot of manpower, could do it. If it were him, it would be nearly impossible to collect 3,000 primordial sky dragon talismans from all over the universe. Even if he spent hundreds of millions of years, it would still be difficult. Of course, it was still possible to use the power of the Khanate magic treasure, the Compass of Wishes. The problem was that doing so would greatly consume the power of the Compass of Wishes. He calmed down and followed Bradelli into the manor. At the same time, he immersed his consciousness in the Eye of Karma and continued to observe the group of primordial demon sages. For Xiaoping, who already had 9 doppelgangers, multitasking was a piece of cake. Zeram, you're here. How's the situation outside? Rumor has it that the humans have been trying to gather information about our Heimu City. Have they succeeded? At the sight of the arrival of Zeram, a medieval demon sage asked. Don't worry, those humans are still headless flies. They have no idea what we're planning. Zeram, the medieval demonic sage, burst out into laughter. They're indeed anxious now. They've issued an order in the All Saints Palace of Humans and asked people everywhere for intelligence. It's a pity that they don't know that our demon race's cities are as sturdy as boulders, and that humans can't easily invade them. Of course, there might be human spies and spies among our demon race. The problem is that only a dozen or so elders of Heimu City and a few patriarchs of the demon race know about this plan. Apart from them, the other demon saints are completely clueless. No matter how hard the human race racks their brains, they can't figure out what the next step of our plan is. It was extremely pleased, because in order to prepare this plan, Heimu City had been planning it for billions of years. With such a long period of time and such a meticulous plan, how could it be leaked at such a crucial moment? Not bad, not bad. It's great that those humans haven't discovered it. Yeah, we've set up an altar here and connected it to the origin of the Thunderbolt continent. This is of utmost importance and must not be leaked. Otherwise, we'll definitely be besieged by other races. The immemorial heavenly dragon talisman is a peerless sacred weapon refined by Titania, the mad scientist of the dragon race. It's said that it has the potential to be promoted to an immortal weapon. Even among the many peerless sacred weapons, it can be ranked in the top 10. Each talisman contains the essence of the immemorial heavenly dragon and the origin law of the universe. When 3,000 immemorial heavenly dragon talismans are gathered, they can transform into an immemorial heavenly dragon that contains 3,000 laws and even the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. Indeed, Titania, the scientist of the dragon race, is indeed terrifying. With her talent alone, she could reverse the bloodline of the dragon race and find the origin of the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. If she could really do that, she might be the first legendary figure to break through the unrivaled sage realm and advance to the immortal realm. It's said that in order to reverse the origin and trace the bloodline of the ancestral dragon, these immemorial heavenly dragon talismans have devouring power. They specialize in devouring the origin of worlds to nourish their own bodies. The more worlds they devour, the richer the ancestral dragon bloodline in her. Back then, because she destroyed too many worlds, she nearly shook the origin of the universe. That's why she became the target of everyone and was hunted by the entire universe. These medieval demon sages discussed animatedly. Their words were filled with admiration for Titania. Even though she was a wanted criminal in the universe and was wanted by countless races, they had to admit that she was powerful. She was definitely one of the most terrifying sages in the history of the universe. And even though she was being hunted, she was still not dead and was still at large. I have to say that Titania is an extremely talented monster. The immemorial heavenly dragon talismans are indeed extremely powerful and beyond imagination. They have the power to devour the origin of worlds. A medieval demon sage clenched his fists. Now that we've gathered a large number of immemorial heavenly dragon talismans and condensed them into an immemorial heavenly dragon, we can use the power of the sacrificial altar to communicate with the origin of the Thunder Continent and devour it slowly. Soon, we'll be able to nourish this immemorial heavenly dragon's power to an unprecedented level. When that time comes, we'll only need one strike to instantly activate the power of over 2,900 laws. We'll be able to destroy the Thunder City of a human race in the Thunder Continent and kill most of the human sages. I reckon those human sages would never have imagined that they would die such a useless and silent death. A terrifying killing intent emanated from its body. There's actually such a thing. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that the demon race's plan was indeed highly feasible. Using the power of over 2,900 immemorial heavenly dragon talismans, coupled with the devouring of the Thunder Continent's origin energy, to unleash a thunderous strike. Even if it couldn't completely destroy the human race's Thunder City, it would be enough to kill most of the human sages. Such an attack would definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to the human race's forces in the Thunder Continent. And after this battle, the demon race would also have an absolute advantage in the Thunder Continent. They could easily expel the other races from the Thunder Continent and become the true overlord of the Thunder Continent. It could be said that the demon race would benefit greatly from this. Just the resources on the Thunder Continent alone would be enough to feed the demon race to their heart's content.